Okay, it's fine.
Can we observe a moment of silence or prayer? Thank you. You can sit. You wonder. Nithandazile. Bangafuni nje. Bangafuni nje. Morning, honorable members, colleagues, friends. Importantly, good morning and greetings to our guests from the Kalari Molweni Bandase family, friends, guests. We are appreciative of your presence. We respect the time you took. This is your platform, so kululegan. But in kululego, I tinit nina bugelan. Thank you. Thank you. Just on announcements, we do not have for now, but we've got MEC statements. Member Ramokhopa. I do not see her in the house. I'm assuming she's online. Is she?
I'm online. Deputy Speaker, I'm online. Can you hear me?
Oh, yes. Yes, we can hear you. MEC Tara. Then on member statements, I've got Member Posh is here. Member Posh, you have one. Member Askosana. Member Diana. Member Poho Kona. Okay, Member Poho. Member Smata Kona. Oni Zenubabini. My person. Member Ali Payne. Thank you. Those will be the member statements, so I'll leave it at that for now. Apologies. We were trying to consolidate apologies from different parties. We did not get a consolidated. Oh, thank you. At the time, I did not. Okay. Looks like I've got. Thank you. These are our invited guests.
If I may, the apologies related to the Paris trip, they're actually online. They're not absent, they're following online. You have the apologies in front of you.
It was Member Moriarty and Petitions, ne? Petitions. Petitions. I want to acknowledge guests from the West Range, Waterpens, Paza, and Zerpecom Hall, 15 stakeholders. I hope Bakona. Okay. Oh, thank you. 41, 48, Lesego Street, Kagiso 2, 15 stakeholders. Thank you. Mirafong, Tswana Taxi Rank, Carltonville 15. Onikona, thank you. Egruleni, Tembisa, and Veroke, 15 stakeholders with people living with disabilities. Okay, we acknowledge them. On apologies, you will mention online, Member Moriarty, those online or those who are here, but allow me to go through these ones that I have here. Honorable Speaker obviously traveled with a delegation of members that I will go through just now, whose names I'll go through. Member Dlamini.
Deputy Speaker. Pardon me, good morning. We didn't acknowledge the guests from Dobsonville in the gallery. Pardon me. I think it was an omission. I don't think it was intentional. But ngicela shout out for abumkhaya bam.
Are you radio le Ali Payne? We abuse when I love that I have for you. Are you radio le when you shout out? But we acknowledge member Ezra as well. It was his birthday yesterday. Please shout out as well. But we acknowledge the guests you spoke about or you mentioned, Ose Kalari, Member Payne. We've got Member Maluka. Member Poho will come in to read the questions on behalf of Member Maluka. Is the case? So members, Adams, Makubel, Ngani, Machen, Goben, have sent their apologies. That's where we are on apologies. Let's move. We've spent a lot of time on apologies. Masqubeni Bandas. Stakeholders, Kunabasa not gesegd. Did I not acknowledge them? Not gesegd 15? Oh, yes. Massacre. Thank you. Otherwise, let's start the business of the day. That was just on a lighter note, but of course, serious business of the legislature to acknowledge the presence and apologies. Member Moria to Safuna, you still want beyond these ones?
Madam Deputy Speaker, Honourable Member Nsimanga Diaga Nico and Rasiling Wane are in Paris, but they are online. And Honourable Member Sun is in...
Sorry, colleagues, I can't get the... Please go, the second one, Member Nsimanga, the second one?
Nsimanga, and then Nico Diaga, not Leander Diaga.
Or Diaga, okay.
And Rasiling Wane. They're all in Paris with the COGTA committee, and they're online. And Honourable Michael Sun is in Moscow as a guest speaker of the BRICS International Arbitration Cooperation Centre Expert Committee. So he's an apology there. Thank you very much.
We acknowledge the crescendo on when it comes to the experts part of it. Yeah, and the BRICS. But otherwise, on a lighter note, but yes, I think the House accepts everybody's, but they were experts the way Member Moriarty went. But yes, acknowledge, and I think the House accepts, right? We accept the questions. Okay. Moving right along, let me remind members who've not declared their interests. Where's the IC? I'm just reminding all of you members, you've got an obligation to declare your interests. We've got about 9 members. Do you want me to announce them, or you late for me for some other time? No, there are my people there, so I can't. You're all represented. They're known by your parties. They're all represented. I'm just reminding the parties who are represented to remind you members, please declare your interests. The deadline has been shifted a bit to accommodate that. Please, and Member Moriarty, don't make me announce them. They are known. There's Member Ntsere who represents the members, so she will tell the party. And all of you are represented there. So I'm just reminding you. Otherwise, are there any announcements from members? Before I invite the Premier.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. Today marks exactly 40 years since a young COSAS leader in the Tutuza area was a branch executive committee member, was brutally killed. And up to date, no one has claimed responsibility through the TRC process as to who bombed her home, and that resulted in her dying with her younger sister. Thank you.
Acknowledged member speak. Member speaker. That's acknowledged. Let's start with Member Andrek, the Premier. Please rise to start the business of the day. It's after announcements. Oh, yourselves. Oh. Okay. No, I see the passion. It really means it was a misstep. The way up the passion, they think I'll skip them. I was going to have them after you. Member, yes. But you can go ahead. You can go ahead. I did statements thinking the Premier can start and you guys can come after.
My apologies, Deputy Speaker. Okay. Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker, members of the Executive Council and members of the House, our guests in the gallery. I rise today in the House during this significant Youth Month, a time when we remember the brave generation of 1976, whose sacrifices laid the foundation for the freedoms we now enjoy. It is a moment to reflect not only on their courage, but also on the present-day challenges and aspirations of South Africa's youth, a generation that remains central to the transformation and development of our country. As the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements, we are mindful that true empowerment of our youth includes securing their future through sustainable and dignified human settlements. That is why this Youth Month, we are not only commemorating history, we are making it. We are proud to announce a series of title deed handover ceremonies across the province, returning dignity and security to our people through ownership, many of whom are beneficiaries and descendants of those who fought for liberation. Already on the 5th of June, we handed over 139 title deeds to beneficiaries in Soshanguve MM. On the 20th of June, we will hand over 106 title deeds in Savannah City Extension 4. We will hand over 452 title deeds in Obed and Tombeni. 480 will be delivered to residents of Elijah Bahai, and 359 title deeds will be handed over in Mpumelelo. Honourable Deputy Speaker, these are not just numbers, these are families. These are people who will no longer live in uncertainty, but with the full dignity and legal recognition of home ownership. In their hands, the keys to opportunity, stability and legacy. Let us honour Youth Month not only with words, but with decisive actions that respond to the real needs of our communities. By investing in secure housing and property ownership, we are building the foundation of a more just, equitable and hopeful future for generations to come. Thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Member Ramokgopa. Yes, sorry. Member Ramokgopa.
Thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker and Honourable Members. I rise today to commend the Gauteng Department of Agriculture and Rural Development, together with the National Department of Agriculture, Land Reform and Rural Development, for their swift, coordinated and proactive response in managing the current outbreak of foot and mouth disease affecting various parts of our province. Honourable Members, the extent of economic impact on the red meat industry and the agricultural sector broadly cannot be overemphasized. The red meat industry, and particularly in Gauteng, plays a key role in the red meat value chain, as this province hosts many meat processing facilities, wholesalers and distributors. And the red meat industry contributes 1 to 2% of the national production, amounting to about 70 billion rand. It is a key export driver and responsible for employing over 600,000 people. It is therefore concerning that the confirmed cases of FMD have already significantly impacted many farms across Gauteng. If left unresolved, the FMD outbreak threatens to cost our red meat industry millions of rands daily in lost revenue, whilst also disrupting our supply chains and severely affecting livelihoods. The agricultural sector is a cornerstone of our provincial economy, and it faces devastating consequences should this situation persist. Yet, despite the commendable coordinated response, it is critical to acknowledge that the situation remains precarious. The current challenge, Honourable Speaker, in controlling the outbreak is the shortage of vaccines in the country. Dalrad is still awaiting delivery of vaccines from Botswana, but we hope that this will be resolved by end of June. The country also does not have a functional livestock identification and traceability system, which compounds the difficulty of easily identifying farms of origin. This particularly affects communal and homestead farmers, as well as small-scale farmers. The shortage of officials in an outbreak of this magnitude is also another challenge. Should this not be addressed, this could rapidly escalate the crisis. Nonetheless, GDARD Veterinary Services has taken a number of steps, and their containment measures are proving to be successful, which includes rigorous tracing efforts, strategic deployment of surveillance teams, enforcing biosecurity measures, particularly at auction sites, as well as timely quarantines. We are also monitoring the procurement of vaccines by the National Department and establishing a joint operational task force, including all role players from the industry. All these efforts clearly demonstrate the dedication and commitment to a swift resolution of this issue. And I want to assure the residents of Gauteng, as well as our partner countries to whom we export, that Gauteng remains committed to food safety and food security and will move swiftly to resolve the issue of foot and mouth disease. It is together through unwavering determination and collaboration that we will address and overcome this crisis, safeguard our economy, and protect the livelihoods of our communities. I thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Ramkhopa. Let's congratulate, or let's take the time to congratulate the national cricket team for winning the World Test Championship in 2025. Can we give an applause? Yeah. You want to sing, Premier?
We stand out well tonight.
Okay. Sundowns. I thought you want to sing. Okay, thank you.
Sundowns, yeah.
Congratulations to the team. Let's go to members for, I said member Skosana, Australian Islanders.
Honourable Deputy Speaker, greetings to the House at large. Let me also submit the greetings from our President and our current leader, Jacob Kedlehleki Zuma. The Constitutional Court ruling on the eligibility of children born to foreign parents in South Africa to apply for permanent citizenship. This decision underscores the ongoing legal and administrative challenges surrounding the interpretation and the application of the South African Citizenship Act 98 of 1995. Historically, prior to the 1st of January 2013, children born in South Africa to permanent residents were automatically granted citizenship. However, legislative amendments have since restricted automatic citizenship to only cases where at least one parent is a South African citizen and at the time of child's birth. The impact of these changes, coupled with inconsistent decision-making by the Department of Home Affairs, will result in the abuse of the country's sovereign laws. That is, the ruling suggests that anyone in the world can simply walk into the country, give birth, then help the child apply for permanent citizenship of this country. Simple as that. The ruling encourages unlawfulness, as we have already experienced from the undocumented foreign nationals. Simply put, Deputy Speaker, the ruling is a motivation for all those who seek permanent residency for their children to do whatever it takes to ensure they give birth to their children in South Africa to enable them to apply for citizenship later in their lives. Angichaze ukuthi izwakale nakwada kutunuse. Lo mthetho ngamafushane uchaza ukuthi abantu abangebona bakulelizwe sebangakwazi ukungena egumbini lokulala. U-Bunju no-Ching Liu from China, uBunju waseNigeria bangene nje eSouthern Sun balalane emuva kwalokho kuzale umongameli wakusasa oyophatha lelizwe lo baba mkhulu bethu. Sumkhonto wesizwe sithi siyayigwaza lento asiyivumi lento yokuphakamisa abantu abangekulona lelizwe ngalendlela. This unfortunate ruling bears testimony to the abuse of power by the few privileged and always biased judges appointed to sit in the Constitutional Court. These 11 judges have ultimate power to overrule both the executive as well as the parliament, as it is done in this case. Their unfortunate judgment has a bearing to risk the entire state security into the hands of foreign nationals. The Chief Justice has assumed the role of a de facto president of the state. Now, this ruling, Deputy Speaker, is against the two strategic pillars of Mkhonto Wesizwe, which is the reclaiming of our sovereignty and the position in Africa and the world, as well as reclaiming our safety and security. The ruling is suspiciously silent, though, on the position of illegal parents who might have given birth to the child in South Africa. In the future, another ruling will be enacted that will legalize the illegal parents of a now legal child with a South African permanent residency. This is tantamount to auctioning the country to foreign nationals. It is tantamount to donating and compensating unlawfulness to granting of free citizenship of this country. I thank you.
Thank you. Member Sesediana.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker and the honorable members, our Premier. Honorable Deputy Speaker, yesterday as a nation, we commemorated the 49th anniversary of the historic 1976 Soweto uprising, a powerful reminder of the courage and the conviction of young people who stood against oppression. They fought not only for political freedom, but for the dignity, voice, and opportunity. Today, as I rise as a member of this House to confront a modern crisis that also steals the dignity and the silenced voices, the mental health crisis amongst men, especially young men, worsened by the unemployment and social despair, all of which are the aftermath of exclusion from social and economic opportunities, as it was back in 1976. Honorable Speaker, we must speak the uncomfortable truth. Our young men are struggling silently. Crippling unemployment, poverty, social exclusion, and a culture that discourages emotional expression have created a condition where anxiety, depression, and homelessness fast unmet. In many cases, this internal pain manifests outwards in the substance abuse, in the violence, and tragically in the gender-based violence in our communities. Let it be clear that there is no excuse, none for whatsoever, Deputy Speaker, for this abuse. But we must be honest about the structural condition that feed the cycle of harm. Men who feel powerless in their homes, jobless in their communities, and voiceless in their society are more vulnerable to toxic masculine behaviors. Honorable members and the Deputy Speaker, it is time to disrupt this pattern. Let us stop addressing men's mental health as a private matter because it is now a public health crisis. It is a community development issue. It is a key component in the fight against gender-based violence. I am calling for a parallel program focused on the issue along with the current attention given to economic programs aimed at poverty alleviation and unemployment creation. We need more targeted mental health services in our township. We need job initiatives that restore purpose and hope. And we need social campaigns that redefine the masculinity, not a dominance, but a dignity, care, emotional intelligence. The generation of 1976 imagined South Africa where youth could strive with dignity and agency. Let us honor the legacy to build a province where no young man is forced into silence, where they grow into responsible men who knows that healing is the strength, and women and children live free from that fear of abuse. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker, honorable members, and our guests. As we commemorated Youth Day yesterday, we must acknowledge a devastating reality that our young people are not truly free because gender-based violence and femicide continues to plague Gauteng. Instead of focusing on education and opportunities,
Many young girls are subjected to violence, exploitation, and trauma that robs them of their futures. Deputy Speaker, Gauteng is the hotspot of kidnapping syndicates, and Johannesburg is the epicenter. So I pray that we have a contingency plan to combat this growing diabolic phenomenon in our province, and further hope that immediate action will be taken to ensure that women and children are feeling safe and free at home, at work, schools, malls, to be honest, everywhere where they want to be. They need to feel free. Precious, a 12-year-old disabled girl, reportedly suffered sexual abuse at the hands of multiple men in Cosmos City, raising deep concerns about parental negligence and systemic failures in protecting vulnerable children. The case underscores the urgent need for improved child protection mechanisms to safeguard those who are mostly at risk. Olerato Mongale, a 30-year-old postgraduate student whose body was discovered in Lombardy West, Johannesburg, after she went on a date. Mongale was an advocate, advocating for gender-based violence, but she fell victim to the same system. So it means more needs to be done to make sure that we ensure that women have stronger protection and girls are also protected. Just 2 weeks ago, 14-year-old Likona Force's body was found mutilated in Bramfisherville Road Report, a tragically cut short life of a young person. We are also reminded of Tsegofatso Pule, a 28 years old, 8 months pregnant, if you remember, Madam Deputy Speaker, who was found shot dead in the chest and hanging from a tree in Durban Deep Road Report. Lindiwe Chibi shot in the face and went into coma, but later died at Krisani Baragwanath Hospital. The list is endless, and I'm sure we all know about it. The youth of 1976 fought against oppression, but today's youth should not have to fight for basic safety and security in their homes, schools, and streets. We call for urgent action, and this includes enhanced child protection laws and swift justice for victims, expanded survivor support services, including trauma counseling and safe housing, GBVF education programs in schools to empower young people with knowledge and resources, and not only in schools, everywhere, like we did with that TV, there was a TV program, I forgot the name. I think we need to bring that back. Our vulnerable women and children deserve security, justice, and a future free from fear. I thank you, Deputy Madam Speaker.
Enkosi Deputy Speaker wami endimthandayo semhle nontombi. Honorable members, bahlali molweni. I rise today to play the role of record keeper. I wish to be a mirror for the onlooker to behold their own image, to reflect and take account. How do you say it, Premier? Memory against forgetting. The RDP contained the following words, echoed by statesmen over the years. No political democracy can survive and flourish if the mass of our people remain in poverty, without land and without tangible prospects for a better life. Attacking poverty and deprivation must therefore be the first priority of a democratic government. This was a reassurance given at the infancy of our democracy, and its veracity remains. Attempts have been made to attain it, but sadly, most have yet to reach the bar. Instead, they fall under it like a limbo. The latest endeavor is contained in the ANC's slogan, "Let's do more together." This phrase is said to emphasize the commitment to work collaboratively with all South Africans to achieve a better future. Here, the party pledged to work jointly with others and to achieve the first priority of a democratic government. Today, I've been sent by the community of Dobsonville here present, and they've asked me to remind you to do what you promised and to assure you that if you would return to the path set by your forebears, you would have allies in them, but also us. They have already begun the work. They have cleaned illegal dumps. They have created after-school care programs. They have established a soup kitchen. They have done everything to rehabilitate dilapidated sports and economic infrastructure. But they need your help, Mr. Premier. They need you to live up to your end of the bargain, to recall the promises that you made, to remove your hands from lining your pockets and outstretch your arm towards them in collaboration. If you would do this, if you would return to genuine love for people, if you would meet with them and see how you could amplify their efforts, they are willing to do more for their community alongside you. And we would be happy to facilitate this relationship. Remember the heights from which you have fallen and return to your first love. I thank you.
Thank you, my person, Member Ali. Member Poho.
Thank you very much, Speaker. Greetings, Bagisani Gauteng. Maybe let me start by paying condolences to the families of the 12 fighters that died on their way from the KZN rally yesterday. Madam Speaker, over the last weekend, the world was confronted by a very frightening reality of once again the Middle East erupting into war as a result of the colonial state of Israel. In what the war criminal Prime Minister Netanyahu calls a defense of Western civilization, Israel launched targeted strikes on Tehran on the 13th of June, killing hundreds. Madam Speaker, when President George Bush invaded Iraq 20 years ago, under the false premise that Iraq had nuclear weapons, the West told us that they are protecting civilization from the threat of tyranny and war. Once again, the West has dug up its old warmongering textbook and is now claiming that Iran is days away from a nuclear bomb and that the attack on Iran was a preemptive strike intended to save the world from nuclear apocalypse. Madam Speaker, the EFF vehemently rejects this Western propaganda, which is designed to undermine the sovereignty of Iran in order to pave a way for the full invasion of Iran. We boldly assert Iran's sovereignty and echo the cause of all progressive anti-imperialist forces of the world that Iran has a right to defend itself, especially against settler colonial state currently on trial for genocide. Madam Speaker, we must always remind people that Israel is a Zionist colonial project created from the disposition of Palestinians who were forced to flee their homes in the first Nakba in 1948, where the process to violently annex Palestinian land begins. Palestinians are yet to know peace. Theirs is a decades-old fight for their freedom and, most importantly, for their humanity. Prime Minister Golda Meir of Israel in 1969 said Palestine does not exist. Prime Minister Mechachem called them nothing more than two-legged beasts. This is why the economic freedom fighters stand proudly with Iran and Palestine. Iran, which has been the strongest ally to Palestine, even at the cost of Iran's own detriment. We are inspired by Iran's spirit of Asijigi, and we will not be bullied attitude. Iran has asserted its place in the world as a reliable partner in the struggle to create a multipolar world free from imperialism. We call for the closing down of the Israeli embassy and the cutting down of all diplomatic ties with Israel. Thank you very much.
Please.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. June marks International Pride Month, a time of visibility, remembrance, and a renewed call for equality. While celebrated with fanfare in many countries across the world, in South Africa, Pride holds a deeper meaning. It reminds us that although our Constitution promises dignity and equality, these rights remain out of reach for many LGBTQIA+ South Africans. Johannesburg recently hosted a vibrant Pride event in Norwood, attended by over 1,200 people. It was joyful, but also a political call to action, because safe spaces for queer people are still far too rare. The DA in Gauteng previously tabled a motion for the establishment of such a space and a subcommittee for the LGBTQI+ issues. That motion never even made it past programming. This means no safe spaces and still no progress in Gauteng. I'm not a member of the LGBTQI+ community, but I stand here today as a proud ally and a vocal ally, in honor of many close friends of mine and colleagues whose stories of courage, rejection, and resilience echo across the province and even the world. Their presence reminds us that behind every smiling pride flag is someone who has had to fight to be seen and accepted. Yet still too many in our country suffer. Young black queer people are subjected to conversion therapy. Others are murdered, and their killers are never held accountable. This is not freedom. In places like Australia, Germany and Belgium, governments and legislators and the police march alongside citizens while local businesses are mobilized in support. They actively create safe spaces and fund outreaches, events and celebrate it with true pride. We as Gauteng should not be any different. Pride must go beyond symbolism. It must live in policy, funding and political will. Let us not just mark pride, let us honour it by making South Africa and Gauteng truly safe and equal for all.
Thank you, Member Bosch. Just as a reminder as well, it's still a member Israel Itsolo's birthday, so I thought we can wish him well. It's his birthday. Thank you. Moving right along, thank you, members, for the statements. Moving right along, out of the 8 statements, we've had to make the best we can do. Ask us. The best we can do. Yes, Member Smith. The best we can do was to get everybody represented. Member Premier, if you are ready. Member Alberts, please start with your question.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker. I come to you with warm greetings from the people of China who are wishing us well. We've just finalized.
What is the question, Premier? What is the question? The question must come from Member
But
Albert.
you are question, I thought maybe it
No, I was
doesn't
saying,
want to
be
raise
ready.
it.
We are starting with Member Albert.
Oh, okay.
Yes. So you already know the question.
In China, the Premier responds before the question.
No, I was saying, Member Premier, please be ready. He is going to start. I'm sure he was shocked. What is happening now?
Thank you.
Member Albert, please go ahead.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. Question to the Premier. Premier, the National Executive decided in 2007 to implement a Socioeconomic Impact Assessment System, also known as a SAIAS, that compels all national departments to create a Socioeconomic Impact Assessment Report, also known as a SAIA report, for each draft policy, bill and regulation created by the particular department. The SAIAS guideline issued in 2015 states that a SAIA report must accompany every policy, bill and regulation submitted to the Cabinet and to Parliament so as to support scrutiny and oversight. The purpose of the SAIAS are as follows: to minimise unintended consequences from policy initiatives, regulations and legislation, including unnecessary costs from implementation and compliance, as well from unanticipated outcomes, and to anticipate implementation risks and encourage measures to mitigate them. Given the laudable aims of the SAIAS to support oversight, can the Premier indicate as follows? 1. Will the Premier consider implementing a similar socio-economic assessment system for all draft policy, legislation and regulations created by the various provincial departments and units? 2. If yes, kindly indicate the specifics of the implementation plan and the nature of the system. And 3. If no, kindly explain comprehensively why the system is not required on provincial level. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker and Honourable Dr. Alberts, for your question. And also let me acknowledge the presence of members of our society that are in the public gallery and thank them for attending. Honourable members. Indeed, Dr. Alberts, the Gauteng Provincial Government adopted the SIAS in 2021 to do the following. First, the Office of the Premier established SIAS with the following responsibilities. 1, to receive SIAS submissions from GPG departments, analyze the submissions to ensure compliance with SIAS. 2, to submit SIAS report for all policies, bills and regulations that have undergone the SIAS procedures. 3, conduct SIAS awareness across the GPG departments. 4, conduct training and skills development sessions for GPG policy practitioners, thus providing the necessary support and capacity to all GPG departments. In terms of your next question, the integration of SEAS into policy-making processes is an ongoing process. The following aspects are planned for the 2025-2026, which are: 1, enrollment of GPG policy practitioners on SEAS course offered by the National School of Governance; 2, ensuring that SEAS reports are included in the Executive Council Technical Subcommittee meetings; 3, establishing the SEAS forum constituted by GPG officials who have passed the National School of Government course, and the role of the forum is to ensure that all policy proposals from GPG departments are subjected to SEAS procedures. In terms of your last question, kindly refer to the 2 above answers that I've provided to you. But I want to emphasize to you, Member Alberts, that we are taking this piece of legislation very serious, and we're incorporating it in the formulation of policies and regulations within the provincial government as a whole. Thank you so much.
The mic is yours.
Thank you very much. Madam Deputy Speaker, I want to rise on Rule 138 and ask the following questions to Premier Lesufi. Premier Lesufi, in terms of, or with regards to the e-tolls, could you please indicate, are you aware that there are reports that some Gauteng residents are still receiving e-toll statements or bills after the official scrapping of the e-tolls on April the 11th of 2024? 2, what steps are being taken to investigate and hold this erroneous billing? 3, can the Premier clarify whether the Gauteng provincial government is pursuing the collection of historically e-toll debts incurred before April 11, 2024? And 4, has the Premier engaged with SANRAL to ensure that its billing system were fully updated after the e-toll gantries were disconnected on April 11th, 2024? And lastly, what action steps will the Premier take to address any financial or administrative burdens caused by the post-scrapping billing of the e-toll errors? Thanks, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Honourable Msimang. Member Premier.
Once more, let me thank you, Honourable Deputy Speaker, as well as Honourable Msimang. And thanks so much, Honourable Msimang. I hope you're enjoying Paris and you'll be in a position to come back home and refreshed. Honourable Msimang, we held a meeting on the 16th of January 2025 with the Minister of Transport together with the team from SANRAL. In the meeting with the Minister, the issue of the e-tolls, all e-tolls related matters was on the agenda, and we have extensive discussions. And immediately after those discussions, the Minister pleaded with us, of which we concurred, that we leave all e-tolls related matters to herself, as well as the board of SANRAL. And as soon as the board of SANRAL conclude on their value proposal on all these matters that we've raised, they will be in a position to update the Executive Council of Gauteng. And we are still awaiting this update. As soon as we get this update, we'll be in a position to fully respond to all the issues you have raised with us. Thank you so much, Madam Deputy Speaker.
Thank you, Member Premier. Honourable Muriati. Sorry. Member Muriati, please rise to ask your question. Yes, that's you.
Madam Speaker, in terms of point of order, we're still on the first question. Rule 138 subsection, subsection 8. The member who asked the question may ask one supplementary question. I don't know if Honourable Simanga would like to ask a supplementary question.
Member Moriarty, if you don't have a question, we can move on. He is capable, Member Msimang. He started, he's the initiator. He will make a follow-up. He doesn't need you to speak for him. Unless he's incapable just now as we speak, he would have even sent us as the presidium that is incapable. Ask the question, Member Moriarty. If not, let's proceed to Member Mkhete.
No, Madam Speaker, let me
if there's no problem. You know what to do, Member Msimang. We can go to your follow-up.
There is a point of order, ma'am.
I can't hear you.
Madam Speaker. Madam Deputy Speaker, there is a point of order. Procedurally, you are immediately after the Premier responds, you are supposed to then ask if there is a supplementary question. You haven't done that on the first question, and even now you haven't done that. And so we don't know whether you are opening up the invite for us to have then supplementary questions. I cannot just jump before you call me to make a comment. I think procedurally that's the way that needs to go. Perhaps you need to consult with the front table there to ensure that we follow the right process. Please, Madam Speaker.
There is no disorder thus far. In fact, you are causing disorder. If there is a follow-up, it's very simple. You are virtual, you indicate, Madam Speaker, there is, or Deputy Speaker, there is a follow-up, or rather, I'm not satisfied with how my question has been tackled. We give it to you, it has been done. It's not a new thing.
No, Madam Speaker, that's not how we do it.
No, it has been done. We are doing it right now. If there is a question, is there a follow-up question? Let's not have a back and forth, Member Msimang. Is there a follow-up question? If there isn't, we'll switch off your mic, we'll proceed to the next person. Is there a follow-up? No, we will do it. Is there a follow-up to the question? Is there a follow-up question to the Premier?
You are supposed to then have...
I can't be taught by you today, Member. Switch off the mic if those colleagues switch off the mic. You will. Switch off the mic. If there is no question, you are causing disorder unnecessarily. Let's ask the question, Member Msimanga. Stop being a shining star there.
We are not here in a kindergarten house here.
Stop being a shining star. There is no reason for this. Can we switch off the mic?
Allow for a follow-up question.
We're going to switch off the mic. Let's mute.
No, you're not going to do that. You are not Mugabe here. We're not going to come and listen to you dictating to us. There's a house, there are rules that are supposed to be followed.
Technical team, the time we're wasting for this grandstanding and the time we should have. And remember, Moriarty, let's have happiness that we are grandstanding. It's very clear, members. If there's a question, you simply say, Madam Speaker, for a question. Mamelani, off your mic. Okay, if you can't, we will do it for yourselves. Switch off the mic. We can't have a house come to stand still on rules that we all know. Can we have the follow-up if it's not existing? Let's proceed.
I'll please advise you, because what you're doing is wrong. What you're doing is wrong. You cannot proceed in the way you're proceeding.
The technical team, can they assist us with the mic? You are just getting this house in chaos unnecessarily. We've got guests here. Member Msimang can't be a shining star here. The guests are waiting for the Premier to speak. If there is a question, we've wasted about 10 minutes unnecessarily. We could have asked the question if there isn't. It is not there, the question, Moriarty. We are saying there is no question. Let's proceed. Switch off the mic off the people who are there. We're not going to be disrupted by people who are not even in the house to acknowledge this guest. If there isn't, Member Moriarty, there is a question. If there isn't,
you are going to ask me if
you can ask the question. We've given him time. He said, go ahead and ask. What is the problem? What is the problem, Member Msimang? You want to be a shining star? No. Switch off the mic of Member Msimang. Yes, it is going to be switched off. Watch. It's going to be switched off. Colleagues there, up there. Can we get the technical team to mute? It's muted. Get the colleagues to mute.
I will unmute again.
It must be done. Mute.
I want to refer this matter.
Mute.
I really want to refer this matter. We cannot allow a situation where we are being treated like this. With this day, we cannot allow you to do that, Madam Deputy Speaker. I'm sorry, you cannot allow to be doing that. There are processes. You are not following processes here. You are not following processes. You're bringing the house into disrepute here. You're bringing this house into disrepute. And we are expecting us to respect you when you're not respecting us. You're not respecting us.
Remove.
You are not respecting us here.
Yes, before I do, I'd like to ask that your ruling be submitted to the Rules Committee, please.
Repeat?
That your ruling be submitted to the Rules Committee.
It's fine. I think it's noted. It will be submitted.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I rise to ask the Premier. There are reports that the South African Police Service officers deployed at the Gauteng Provincial Legislature are not provided with transport to and from work. They use personal and public transport, putting their safety and those that they safeguard at risk. Some police officers do not have personal vehicles and must rely on public transport. This has led to some officers being robbed and harassed and left vulnerable. With regards to resources allocated to the police officers deployed at the GPL, could the Premier please indicate, 1, who is responsible for the deployment and providing resources to the South African Police Services, police officers to safeguard the GPL? 2, is the Premier aware that these deployed police officers do not have an official transport or a transport allowance given the critical nature of their security duties? 3, is the Premier aware that some officers are forced to use personal vehicles while others must rely on public transport while carrying firearms, which is putting their lives in danger? 4, is the Premier aware that of incidents reported of robbery, assault or harassment of the GPL deployed police officers that occurred in the past 24 months while commuting to or from duty? If the answer is yes, how many incidents have been reported? And 5, what measures, if any, has the Premier taken to ensure the safety of these police officers, particularly those travelling at early or late hours to and from the GPL, and what action is the Premier going to take to ensure that this matter is addressed? Thank you.
Thank you once more, Honourable Deputy Speaker, and thank Member Muriati for your question. I think, Member Muriati, you are quite aware that the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, it's a separate branch of government. It has its own executive authority and accounting officer. However, I've taken this matter because it's a very important matter for the safety of members here, as well as the asset of this legislature. This morning, I held a discussion with the Provincial Commissioner, who have requested me that we forward this matter to his immediate attention, as the policy of the South African Police Service indicates that members are not covered for travelling from home to work or after work to home. But in exceptional circumstances, like those that are manning the 10111 call center, because it's a 24-hour center and sometimes public transport is not available, this kind of support is provided to them. In this instance, if members of the SAPS in this legislature will need this kind of support, the Provincial Commissioner is committed to favourably look at this request and come back to us. And as soon as this matter is brought to his attention, he is committed to resolve it as speedily as possible. Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker.
Yes, Honourable Premier, I certainly am aware that effectively this building is the custodian is the Speaker in the Legislature, but happily for me, you happen to be the MEC for Community Safety. So it is in that regard that I posed the question, but you have done the service, as it were, of providing a very comprehensive answer, a very acceptable answer. I think it has been quite a distress to hear that there are certain of the police officers that have been deployed here, that they might come in a taxi with a firearm in a bag and they could easily get robbed of the firearm. But you're addressing that, and we look forward to further progress updates in this regard. Thank you very much for this.
Thanks so much, Member Murati. I held discussion with 4 members of the SAPS of this legislature this morning, just to ascertain what are the challenges and when this kind of services was stopped. And they indicated that was stopped almost 3 to 4 years ago. And they themselves, unfortunately, were not finished with the reasons why this kind of support was stopped. And on the basis of that, that's when I had long discussions with the Provincial Commissioner, who indicated that as soon as we submit this matter to his immediate attention, we'll attend to it favorably. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Greetings to the honorable members and to our people of Gauteng. The question to the Premier in terms of Rule 138 reads as follows. Noting that 37% of Gauteng provincial government senior officials have failed lifestyle audits and that the Gauteng provincial government strives to ensure ethical governance, and can the Premier respond to the following questions? What is the extent course of action for the Gauteng provincial government regarding the 37% senior officials who have failed a lifestyle audit? And did the lifestyle audit identify who carries the most risk between the CEOs, heads of departments, and supply chain management? And lastly, how do lifestyle audits assist the provincial government in promoting ethical governance? Thank you very much.
Thanks so much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank Honorable Dr. Mokheti for the question. I thought I said something wrong.
No, you are on course. You are on course.
Okay.
You are on course. You are responding to a question
So
asked by
remember,
another
folks,
member.
I thought maybe I didn't.
The same way we gave respect to other colleagues when they were asking is the same way we are giving respect.
Thank you so much, Honorable Deputy Speaker. Honorable Deputy Speaker, I want to give context to this question before I can go to the issues that have been raised by Dr. Mokheti. We remain the only province amongst the 9 provinces that have initiated a lifestyle audits for all HODs and CEOs of institutions. We also remain the only province that have utilized state institutions to ensure that the lifestyle audit covers everything that is available both in terms of public information and private information. We are proud that of all the HODs and the CEOs in our province, all of them, without exception, subjected themselves to this process. Out of all the HODs and the CEOs of our institutions, only 4 HODs reports came with a report that needed further information. Upon receipt of this information, we presented this information to the relevant HODs, who I want to thank them once more for full compliance. As I'm indicating to you, only 2 HODs reports are still outstanding with the Special Investigation Unit. And in terms of percentage of the 2, it's not 37%, and I think we wanted to update that information. The SIU has indicated to me that before the end of this particular quarter, they would have concluded the outstanding information of the 2 HODs that have submitted additional information to them. So on the basis of this, we are quite proud that we have concluded this important process to determine if our HODs and chief executive officers are not conflicted in terms of their responsibilities and the mandate that they've been given. We are also proud that we have started a new process of ensuring all those that are responsible for SCM, they are also subjected to this process. As I'm indicating to you, we are now in the middle of this audit, and as soon as it's concluded, we'll also be in a position to make comparison of the information that we've received from the HODs and the information that we've received from SCM or supply chain managers. We remain the only province that have embarked on this process because we respect the importance of ensuring that those that are leading the institutions that have been assigned to them are people that are capable, and they will be in a position to ensure that their earnings match what they are doing. In terms of question 3, the benefits of conducting lifestyle audits include, amongst other things, to establish the financial profile of employees regarding declared income against known or observed assets. 2, to ensure the integrity of officials, and also to confirm that no one is using their position in government to enrich themselves. 3, to prevent and detect risk of fraud, corruption, and unethical conduct. 4, to obtain sound evidence for unexplained wealth by identifying undeclared sources of income. And lastly, to detect conflicts of interest that have an impact on the productivity of public service employees and service delivery. As such, lifestyle audits are necessary in promoting ethical governance, as this process assists with the following outcomes. 1, to identify weaknesses in internal controls. 2, to cap fraudulent and corrupt activities. 3, to strengthen internal controls, thereby promoting a corruption-free environment. 4, to promote ethical culture, transparency, and compliance. And lastly, to improve the overall effectiveness of governance. I want to take this opportunity also to thank the Anti-Corruption and Ethics Council that has been very instrumental in ensuring that we comply with our resolution that we've taken to establish lifestyle audits, not only for our senior managers, but also those that are within the Supply Chain Management Council. As soon as this process is concluded, as we've done with the HODs and CEOs, we'll make this information public. Thank you. Deputy Speaker.
Thank you very much, Honorable Premier, for the response. Thank you. No, not allowed. It's per 1388.
Why
After
not?
1388, I'm responding to 139 with 138, which says, ne?
1389.
138, you want a response, right? Let me give. I'm
1389,
refusing.
yes.
I'm saying I'm refusing on the basis. 1388, after the Premier has replied to a question, the initiator, the member who asked the question may ask one supplementary question or make a short remark directly related to the original question or reply. Then 9 that you are rising on, it says at the discretion. My discretion is saying I'm refusing what you are rising on. Thank you very much. Nah, it's a discretionary issue. Let's proceed. Member Mehwe? Nah, there are no reasons. Member Mehwe? Who? What? Member Mkheti responded. Those who spoke, Member Mkheti is done. Or on Member Mehwe now. We're not on member. You asked and I responded. At my discretion as the presiding officer, I'm saying it's rejected your request. We are on Member Mehwe. There's nothing that says we must tell you as an individual.
Point of order.
Thank you very much.
Your tantrum doesn't change the rule. The same rules you're carrying, it's this. No, there's nothing like that. It says at the discretion of the presiding officer. So it is like that. You want to be removed?
Point of order.
No.
Yes.
Member Mehwe? Member Mehwe?
Point of order. Madam Speaker, Madam Deputy Speaker, I can rise on a point of order. I'm not rising on 1389.
Oh, you're still
I'm rising on a
you've
point
risen
of order.
anyway. Yes, you can continue
In terms
rising.
of the rules, we are entitled to ask that your ruling be referred to the Rules Committee.
Okay.
I would like your ruling to be referred to the Rules Committee.
Noted. Discretion
is supposed to be reasonably applied.
Cool.
Thank you.
No, there's no problem. The presiding officer is just saying for now, the discretion is given to her. It will be him at some point. There is nothing of that sort. We are saying take it to the Rules Committee if you want. But for now, we are on Member Mehwe. The discretion is exactly that. Member Mehwe, discretion and rules are saying.
Thank you very much for the discretion. Noting that the National Development Plan identified infrastructure development as a key enabler of socio-economic growth, further noting that this August House in 2021 debated and resolved that a multi-sectoral task team for protection of critical infrastructure in the province must be established. Can the Premier indicate the following? Did the Gauteng Provincial Government assess the impact and implication of sabotage and vandalism of critical infrastructure? If yes, please provide details of the impact. If not, why not? What impact has the establishment of the multi-sectoral task team for the protection of critical infrastructure had in addressing critical infrastructure vandalism and sabotage in Gauteng, and comparing now and the period before the establishment of this task team, has the Gauteng Provincial Government seen any major decrease in activities, particularly by organized syndicates in destroying and sabotaging critical infrastructure?
Madam Premier, at the discretion of the presiding officer, you can answer.
Thank you so much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Let me take this opportunity to thank Honourable Member Mehwe for the question that she has raised. Indeed, Honourable Member Mehwe, you're quite convinced that there is an organized sabotage by institutions that the law enforcement agencies are still busy to establish what is the purpose of them vandalizing our infrastructure. The issue of infrastructure sabotage, vandalism, and project disruptions must be understood in a holistic context of criminal activity that impact on socio-economic infrastructure and our overall response to push back and ensure the environment is right for investment and uninterrupted construction. We are of the great view that we need to utilize our intelligence communities to establish areas where we can't just replace sabotaged infrastructure without knowing the people behind, because to replace will mean that we're inviting them to sabotage that infrastructure again. So addressing this through various law enforcement stakeholders and built environment interventions. Our Gauteng Department of Infrastructure has established a multidisciplinary built environment integrated infrastructure aid team that is deployed to conduct condition assessment of facilities that are deteriorating due to various reasons, including vandalism, wear and tear. These services are extended to municipalities in support of specific projects as per their request. For example, we've just analyzed the clamped down Old Sisulu Square to establish indeed if there was vandalism of that area, and the information at our disposal that during those unrest time, the entire area was invaded and vandalized. In terms of your second question, the services outlined above constitute integral components of the comprehensive processes employed to assess facility conditions, thereby informing the prioritization of investment and the mobilization of resources from both the national fiscus and alternative funding mechanism. In addition, the Gauteng Department of Infrastructure Department actively anticipate in the provincial joint operations, a collaborative multi-sectoral platform that brings together departments across the three spheres of government alongside the law enforcement agencies. The MEC responsible for cooperative governance also meet with all municipalities every Tuesday, where matters of law enforcement and the protection of our infrastructure is discussed weekly. Moreover, as the GDID is a key stakeholder in the Central Business District Revitalization Initiative, which aims to rejuvenate the Johannesburg CBD, thus providing the necessary guidance on these matters. This initiative exemplifies a collaborative governance model involving the provincial government, municipal authorities, private sector entities, and non-governmental organizations. The concerted efforts have yielded tangible progress, notably in the deployment of CCTV cameras and the enhancement of visible policing by law enforcement agencies in our province. In terms of the impact that we've indicated, the approach adopted is not characterized by a conventional team structure per se, but rather embodies a broad-based, functional, and collaborative, coordinated, intergovernment character. This methodology facilitates the generation of synergies and optimizes cooperative operations, thereby enhancing turnaround times and enabling more effective intervention in areas experiencing challenges. We also welcome the decision taken by the Executive Mayor of Johannesburg to establish a bomb squad that will supplement and provide the necessary support on matters that need infrastructure protection. In terms of your last question, indeed, there is an enhanced continuous improvement and sustained advancement in the collaborative engagement among all participating stakeholders, which will enhance better service delivery in terms of infrastructure in our province. Thank you once more, Honourable Mehwe, for the question. Thanks, Deputy Speaker.
Thanks very much, Honourable Premier, for your comprehensive response on that particular issue, because it has been outstanding for quite a long time and we're not sure about progress on that one. But can we request that the team should also look at the destruction of some of the infrastructure that is caused by the recent rains, like the one that I sent to you this morning of Sparvater Dam near Nigel, which is situated in Ward 88, which is led by the DA councillor, who does not even come and service that particular area. Thanks, Chair.
They don't come anywhere. Thank you very much. Premier? Premier? Kuba Premier, Kuba, you're on course.
Thanks so much, Honourable Mekwe. Indeed, we'll follow up on all the issues that have just related to us. I've already, upon receipt of your matter, requested the Ekurhuleni municipality to attend to those issues. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it. Thanks.
Member Nkani? Question to the Premier? Or is there anybody who's going to take his question if he's not online?
Speaker, thank you. I'll take the question on behalf of Mr. Nkani. Honourable Premier, hijacked buildings in Gauteng cities, particularly in Johannesburg inner city, have become breeding ground for various criminal activities. These criminal activities include drug trafficking, extortion, human trafficking, and violent crime. In response to the escalating crime in these areas, the Gauteng Provincial government deployed crime prevention wardens, affectionately known as Amapanyapanya, who are tasked with assisting formal law enforcement agencies such as SAPS and JMPD. Their responsibilities include crime prevention patrols, community engagement, visible policing, and providing support to existing crime-fighting operations. Considering this, can the Gauteng Premier answer the following questions? Question number 1, as per community policing framework promoted by SAPS, how are crime prevention wardens collaborating with the local stakeholders, including Community Policing Forum and Municipal Housing Department, to identify and secure hijacked buildings in Gauteng cities? In alignment with the Gauteng Provincial Government Urban Renewal Program, reclamation of hijacking properties, and what are the measurable outcomes to date? Number 3, given the National Development Plan emphasis on professionalizing the police service, what monitoring and evaluation mechanisms are in place to assess the conduct, accountability, and operational impact of crime prevention wardens? Number 4, what labor law provisions and employment equity considerations are being observed in process of formalizing the employment of CPWs? And number 5, given the fiscal constraint, what is government long-term funding models to sustain the CPW programs? I thank you.
Thanks so much, Deputy Speaker. Let me also thank, on behalf of Member Nkani, the questions that have been raised. In terms of a response to question 1, the South African Police Service in Gauteng worked closely with the 3 metro and 2 district municipalities, as well as the Department of Social Development, to monitor and ensure that we attend to issues of hijacked buildings in the CBD. The criminal groups invade buildings that are not well managed or maintained and take control of these buildings by force. The SAPS can only act against criminals if criminal case is registered by the lawful owner of the property or in consultation with the local authority. A comprehensive plan to deal with hijacked buildings has been developed and implemented by the South African Police in all the cities as the cooperation agreement that we've signed as a provincial government and the SAPS together with our cities. In terms of question 2, the Gauteng Traffic Police and Crime Prevention Order supports departments and local authorities in addressing hijacked buildings. It should be noted that the department neither has enforcement powers in this matter nor holds direct information about hijacked buildings. The Gauteng Traffic Police and the Crime Prevention Wardens provide operational support upon request, assisting during coordinated interventions led by municipalities or other law enforcement agencies. This encompasses offering visibility, logistical support, and supplementary personnel, especially in instances where land invasion or other law enforcement bylaws are not followed. The department works closely with other law enforcement agencies to address hijacked properties and acting within the legal framework. In terms of question 3, to improve effectiveness, accountability, and public trust in Gauteng traffic wardens, the Gauteng Department of Community Safety has implemented several corrective measures. 1, establishment of Internal Affairs Unit 2, targeted oversight to support risk management. 3, proactive culture of accountability. 4, improved operational alignment with the SAPS. And lastly, your question in terms of the labor law that has been followed. In formalizing the employment of traffic wardens, the department is considering the following provisions of the law: the Public Service Act of 1994 and the creation and filling of positions within the Public Service Regulations 2016. Once the organizational structure is concurred and the filling of vacancies for traffic wardens commences, the employment equity considerations, that is in terms of gender, race, disability, and status, will be taken into account in line with the employment equity plan. The Gauteng Traffic Wardens program is funded through the equitable share over the MTF period. Thank you so much, Member, for your question, and thank you, Deputy Speaker.
Member Kaba. Samba ngolayini apha. Siqhuba gqithi umember Kaba. Or is there anybody who's standing in for her? Oh, is she online? Is she online? Okay, Member Kaba. Or Member Posh?
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I want to rise in terms of Rule 1389 to ask a supplementary question on that original question, please.
1381.
Yes, 1389.
My response will be 1388. After the Premier has replied to the question, the member who asked the question will ask one supplementary question and make a short remark. Then 13.89, at the discretion of the presiding officer, any member may ask additional. So the discretion now is things stand. Member Bosch, thank you very much. We'll ask in the next session the follow-up question. Yes. Member Kaba.
Madam Speaker, Deputy Speaker.
Member Bosch.
Apologies, but this is really urgent and it cannot stand over until the next sitting where I can raise the next question. So I believe in terms of Rule 1389, you should use your discretion for the safety of the people in Gauteng to allow me to ask this question.
Oh yes, the discretion has been used. I'm saying you're not asking the question.
Okay, so the people of Gauteng does not need to be kept safe.
We are taking chances. Member Bosch, that's noted. I'm saying in the next question, that's noted. I also responded at my discretion. I'm saying not today. Yes, no problem. I even asked your whip. Yes, you stop boiling. Simmer down. Simmer down. Member Fax. Yes, we are using the discretion in proceeding. Member Kaba, is there a question? If not, let's proceed. Oh, she's online. Member Kaba, I think you're online. Please go ahead. Member Posh, we'll meet in the safety committee, don't worry. We'll proceed with the safety issue. Member Fuchs, you can simmer down for now. Member Kaba? Not present? Not able to? Okay. Thank you very much. The President, can we move to questions for oral reply? Omami Ali, apologies. At my discretion, you can raise.
Thank you so much, Madam Diaz. Mr. Premier, today, on the 17th of June, 2025, 65-year-old Joseph Pego will make his second appearance at the Benoni Magistrates Court. He's accused of raping a 5-year-old child in Davidton earlier this year. He was caught in the act with video footage and an eyewitness to confirm the violation. Among those in attendance during previous court appearances, those who had gathered to support the family of the young girl, was a community member whose very own 13-year-old was sexually assaulted and impregnated by a known member of the community. There was also an activist who was currently assisting a 16-year-old who was raped by her biological father. The scourge of sexual abuse of minors shows no sign of abating, and this is something that was alluded to by Member More earlier on in the sitting. This Youth Month, our young people are still not safe, and government interventions do not seem to be yielding the desired results. Given the above, does the Gauteng province have any coordinated and formalized interdepartmental efforts between the Departments of Education, Safety or Social Development, as well as Community Safety, to protect children from sexual predators at home, at school, and in the broader society? And if so, please provide details on these collaborative interventions and their implementation status as we speak. Because the eradication of sexual violence against minors is the responsibility of all in our society, which community-based programs, if any, is the province actively working with to prevent and respond to the sexual abuse of minors across Gauteng? In particular, are there any educational or psychosocial initiatives focused on prevention, reporting, survivor support, or rehabilitation endorsed by the province? And lastly, Mr. Premier, what urgent measures, will the Office of the Premier take to ensure that full and accelerated vetting of all school-based employees across Gauteng takes place? And will the province consider working with national counterparts to remove the financial and administrative barriers that are currently hindering this process? I submit. Thank you.
If it's okay, members, let's allow the same courtesy we allowed to others. Member Premier? The courtesy is allowing members to speak the same way you are allowed to speak.
Speaker. Hey, this discussion is creating problems.
Member Premier?
Thank you so much, Honourable Deputy Speaker. Let me also thank Honourable Member Ali and extend my sympathies to the issues that have just raised, Member Ali. The Gauteng province has put in place a collaborative interventions program involving the Department of Education, Social Development and Community Safety to address and prevent sexual abuse at home, in schools, and also within communities. These are the following intervention programs that we have in place. One, it's a school social work program, and its status is that is actively operational. It was initiated in 2018 through an MOU between the Department of Education and the Department of Social Development. This program ensures allocation of social workers to manage referred cases in schools and to handle cases of abuse, neglect, and psychosocial issues affecting learners. In 2024, it was expanded to include the Department of Health. Intervention number 2 is a national school safety framework. Its status is that it's been implemented across all public schools in our province. Its intention is to equip schools with tools to prevent and manage violence and abuse, and it requires each and every school to have a school safety committee and also a risk assessment and safety plans and collaboration with the SAPS and a mandatory reporting of any form of abuse that is taking place within the school premises. The third intervention is called the Protocol for Managing and Reporting Sexual Abuse in Schools, and its status is that it's mandated in schools, and it's ongoing program that is implemented through training. This is done through the Department of Basic Education that enforces a formal protocol that guides schools in reporting and managing cases of sexual abuse or harassment. It ensures a standard response to the following matters. 1, reporting mechanisms. 2, victim support. 3, disciplinary action that needs to be followed. The last form of intervention is called interdepartmental awareness and prevention campaigns. This is mainly during the 16 days of activism and the intensification of this campaign during the Child Protection Week. This is done through collaborative outreach by the Department of Education, the Department of Social Development, the Department of Health, as well as the Department of Community Safety. Its intention is to focus on the following: 1, gender-based violence education. 2, substance abuse and bullying awareness. 3, campaigns that often include school talks and collaboration with civil society. In some instances, the departments and other NGOs will mobilize court picketing where GBVF cases are heard in court, and this is done through our brigades that are providing this kind of support. This is done in cases of child rape and gender-based violence, and community-based activists are trained through the Department of Community Safety to organize public court pickets and to ensure that those that are victims of these acts are given the necessary support. And these demonstrations' aim is to show solidarity with the victims and families and demand justice and accountability and keep public attention on these matters. There is a unit that monitors these kind of cases, and they get updated, and also they are discussed with the relevant law enforcement agencies as well as the legal fraternity. In terms of your second question, the response is the Gauteng Provincial Government works with a range of community-based programs to prevent and respond to the sexual abuse of minors. These initiatives are supported and funded through the Department of Social Development, primarily via partnerships with NGOs. And the key focus areas include prevention, reporting, survivor support, and rehabilitation. These areas are directly funded by the Department of Social Development and delivered through local NGOs with oversight support from provincial structures. In terms of your last question, the GPG department recognizes that urgent need to accelerate the vetting of all school-based employees is no longer a luxury. It's a matter that needs to be prioritized and be fast-tracked. You will agree with us it will be extremely difficult to do this as the provincial government alone, as we need to be led by national government. But on our own, we've established processes of ensuring that this vetting is accelerated and implemented, especially when people are going to be employed and are going to link or liaise with children. As part of this effort, the Department of Community Safety hosted a virtual session with the Registrar of National Register for Sex Offenders, and all Gauteng provincial government departments were invited to this engagement to raise awareness on the use of the register in screening current and prospective employees. I want to take this opportunity to thank Member Ali for the question and once more extend my sincere sympathies to all those that have been victims of child abuse and sexual abuse in our institutions, but most importantly, in our communities. Thank you so much, Deputy Speaker.
Thank you so much, DS, and thank you, Premier. Mine is not a follow-up question, but just to say that we appreciate the feedback, and I do sit in the Education Committee and will be suggesting to the members there that perhaps we can conduct oversight on some of the interventions that the Premier has alluded to, bearing in mind some of the sensitivities and that these are quite sensitive issues, but it will be a suggestion that I will make to the Chair of the Committee. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Madam Deputy Speaker. I would like to rise in terms of Rule 1389 to ask a supplementary question and make a comment on the Premier's responses to the previous question, please.
Noted. Member Sharif, yes? That's noted. I'll respond.
Thank you very much, Deputy Speaker. I too wanted to rise on Rule 1389 to ask a supplementary question to the Premier.
Okay. Thank you very much. The discretion still stands. The ruling still stands. We are not asking it today. Member Posh, me and you will meet at Safety Community Member Fuchs, Ibambe Mdase, simmer down. Thank you very much. Premier,
Madam
for the
Deputy
responses.
Speaker,
We
we
are
might
proceeding
meet
to the
at
next.
community safety, but the Premier doesn't meet us at community safety,
He's
and
a
that
member of
results
there.
in a problem. So we need to ask the question now.
Oh, Member Premier, because you're a member of safety and security, we would like to make a follow-up on some of these issues. Member Sharif, Ngola Hlobo, it is going to be the discretion now, and we're going to ask at Safety and Security Committee. Thank you very much. The Presidium, can we go on to the oral replies? Thank you very much.
Good day, members. Okay. Before we proceed with the business of the day, I ask that we pause to remember the tragic events that took place on this day, the 17th of June, 1992, the Wipatong massacre. On that night, innocent men and women and children were brutally attacked and killed in a wave of violence that shocked the nation and the world. The lives lost in Wipatong were not just victims of a heinous act, but the symbols of the high price paid on the road to our democracy. We remember them not only with grief, but with solemn commitment to never forget their sacrifice and to continue building a South Africa that is truly free, peaceful, and just. May their souls rest in eternal peace. I thank you. I am informed that Member Klaba was online, Premier, and she could not speak. May she come in? I hope that she's now connected. Member Klaba.
Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Am I audible?
Yes, we hear you.
Honorable Premier, in the Consolidated General Report on Local Government Audit Outcomes 2023-2024, the Auditor General report exposes rampant institutional decay across the length and breadth of South Africa's government institution. The collapse in institutional integrity has been reported to have led to unprecedented levels of irregular expenditure at a staggering 33.2 billion between 2021-2022. It is common knowledge that the municipal manager supported by the mayor is responsible for leadership oversight, including establishing an effective control environment in a municipality. It is damning and an indictment on on Gauteng province that, except for the city of Ekurhuleni, City of Johannesburg and City of Tshwane were found by the Auditor General to have not exercised this oversight responsibility. Senior management and municipal managers were found to have failed to put basic day-to-day controls in place to ensure responsible financial performance management controls and risk management. As indicated in the Auditor General report, a key element of internal control is developing and monitoring the implementation of action plans to address identified internal control deficiencies. This is the responsibility of the municipal manager and the senior management team, and you as a premier have the responsibility to develop and ensure the implementation of provincial policies and responsible management across the provincial departments. The first question is, has the Premier made the necessary interventions to close the findings of the Auditor General? The second question, if yes, may the Premier submit the report detailing the interventions, method and outcomes? The third question, if not, may the Premier provide timeframes when the Auditor General's findings will be closed? And lastly, what steps has the Premier taken against the implicated municipal managers and senior managers to ensure there's consequence management and accountability? Thank you.
Honourable Premier, can respond to that question.
Thank you so much, Acting Speaker. Truly appreciate it. I want to thank Member Kaba for the questions as well, and I want to respond as follows. Yes, the Premier is aware that through the Gauteng Department of Cooperative Governance and Gauteng Provincial Treasury, that there were necessary steps that were put in place to ensure that we deal with matters that have been raised. But he wants to bring to the attention of Member Kaba that the Premier of a province is not allowed, or it's not mandated, with any statutory powers or otherwise, to invoke consequence management against municipal managers and senior managers of municipalities who have been implicated in alleged acts of impropriety or financial misconduct. That power is, as dictated by the Local Government Disciplinary Regulations for Senior Management of 2010, published in Government Gazette number 34213, dated 21 April 2021, and Chapter 15 of Local Government of Municipal Finance Management Act of 2003, as the case may be, exclusively vest these powers within the Municipal Council of Municipalities to determine consequence management for municipal managers. As the provincial government, we deem allegations of wrongdoing by senior managers or any other official employed in the municipalities as a matter that needs serious attention and of urgent intervention. So we will take upon these matters through the Department of COCTA so that we can be in a position to follow up on the issues that have been raised by Member Gaba. But as part of control measures, we are compelling municipalities to report on a monthly and quarterly basis through their audit action plans, their progress made within the findings that have been identified by the Auditor General, including other investigations that came out of the audit processes. The Department will ensure that investigations are expedited and the necessary consequence management is applied effectively through the Department of COCTA. Thank you so much, Acting Speaker, and thank you so much, Member Gaba, for your question.
Member Gaba, do you have any remark or additional question? Supplementary question?
Yes, Chair, please.
Member Gaba. Member Gaba.
Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs. It's a follow-up remark. Honourable Premier, closing audit outcomes is not just a procedural step, but it contributes to accountability and consequence management. Audit outcomes do not always reflect service delivery performance, but rather prudence in financial management. Some of the squeaky clean audits come from poverty-stricken areas, which leave service delivery a misrepresentation of reality. Therefore, it is important to follow up on audit outcomes and the corrective actions thereafter taken. On a lighter note, I would like to remind the Honourable Premier, and my apologies for digressing, to follow up on the detailed response promised during the previous oral question session. I haven't received it today. Thank you, Premier.
Let's stick to the question that we asked. Honourable Premier, respond to the original supplementary question.
Now I understand why the Deputy Speaker. Oh, okay.
Yes. No. The Premier is still responding to the supplementary question. Remark.
Normally,
please, Premier.
Deputy Chair of Chairs?
No.
Deputy Chair of Chairs, point of order.
Yes, what's the point of order?
You take all of the questions, whether they're from the member or the supplementaries, and then the respondent, in this case the Premier, comes in.
Due to time constraints at the discretion of the presiding officer, I'm not going to allow any further question. Premier,
I hope you're proud of your prejudiced and arrogant cadres for spitting in the face of accountability. Spitting in the face of accountability.
Point of order. Deputy Chair of Chairs, we'd like your ruling to be referred to the Rules Committee, as is all of these discretions, please. Thank you.
Noted. Honourable Premier.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Acting Speaker. Member Fuchs, I think you are quite aware that you are crying at the wrong funeral. Because I had nothing to do with this. I'm asked to respond. I have responded to all the questions. So I can't provide oversight over the Speaker. You are quite aware that it's far beyond my powers. And therefore, to cry at the wrong funeral is not accepted. Acting Speaker, let me thank Member Gaba for I had an opportunity to attend a Salga Award evening to award municipalities that have performed very well in the last audit outcome. I must be honest that I was warmed. I was excited with the outcome of some of the municipalities that have improved their audit processes. There are some municipalities that have even appointed people to audit before the Auditor General can audit their books, so that they can rectify their mistakes before the auditor can come and audit the book. So, Member Kaba, it will really be naive to believe that each and every clean audit means clean service delivery. There will be areas where service delivery will still lack, but it's very important that the audit outcome paint a picture on how finances are managed in those municipalities. So we share your frustration that the audit outcome might be clean, only to find that service delivery is not ideal. But that's the matter that we can attend as we move. Thank you so much. Truly appreciate it, Acting Speaker.
Thank you, Premier. Members, we are an hour behind time in terms of the scheduled time. So we'll also be very strict in terms of keeping the 60 minutes that is awarded for questions for oral reply to the executive in terms of Rule 133, subsection 2. So I will then ask Member Musai, are you online? Is it? Yeah? Is Member Musai online?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes, I am.
Okay, you can continue.
No, thank you very much, Deputy Chair of Chairs. My question to the MEC of the Executive MEC of Finance is that given the budget allocations for individual departments, can the MEC of Finance answer the following question regarding the GPG departmental budget expenditure patterns? What systems have the Gauteng Provincial Treasury put in place to ensure that departments spend their allocations in line with the Public Finance Management Act? And if there's any, are these systems effective in ensuring that departments adhere to legislative requirements when spending allocated budgets? Thank you.
Member Maile, may you please reply to the member's question?
Thank you very much, Honorable Deputy Chair of Chairs. The answer to the first question is that the principles of transparency and accountability are enshrined in the Public Finance Management Act, Section 18 of the PFMA, appropriates and empowers the Gauteng Provincial Treasury to prepare the budget, exercise control over the implementation of such a budget, and further promote and enforce transparency and effective management of the budget. In order to realize this legislated outcome, there are systems that are used. This includes the basic accounting system, which is BAS, which is used to record and also report on all financial transactions of goods and services and transfers and subsidies made by department. Secondly, the departments also make use of a personnel and salary system called PESAL, which accounts for all personnel-related transactions. In addition to these systems, Section 40, subsection 4 of the PFMA has instituted various monthly tools and reports, in-year management report used monthly and annually to track departmental spending against the budget, annual cash projections, and monthly records of the actual spending. There are also various monthly, quarterly, and annual reports that each department uses to account for spending, interim financial and annual financial statements. It should be noted that there are various governance systems like the audit committee meetings, quarterly formal engagement meetings by Treasury with each department on their financial performance, as well as interim and annual audits conducted by the Auditor General. All these are systems and instruments used within Gauteng Provincial Government to hold departments accountable for spending and mainly to ensure that such spending is within the principles and ambits of their appropriated budget. On question 2, these systems and tools are effective in their design and object to ensure departments adhere to legislative requirements when spending allocated budgets. Of course, there are cases of deviations from the projected or planned spending, which are also guided by the PFMA and Treasury regulations. Departments are allowed to deviate from the annual projected spending plans. However, such deviation is and must be guided by the PFMA and with approval from the Gauteng Provincial Treasury. Where Provincial Treasury is requested to grant such approval to deviate, approval will be limited to within the appropriated budgets and other considerations or factors. In the event where deviations are audited and or reported to be outside the applicable frameworks, such cases are dealt with either by the Auditor General, the Provincial Treasury, and the Legislature. Thank you very much. That will be the question, the answer to the question. Thank you.
Member Msai, do you have any supplementary question or short remark?
I'm fine with the responses, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Thank you very much, MEC.
Thank you. Members, we have 29 questions in total, and if you do a simple calculation, those questions will take us 145 minutes, which will mean if I have to take, in terms of Rule 137, if we have to take supplementary questions from any other member except the member who has asked a question, it means we're going to take 3 hours. So I'm not going to allow, I'm just telling in advance so that you don't get surprised. I'm explaining now so that we, even in the Rules Committee, or we can clarify this issue. So we're not going to take any supplementary questions or remarks from any other member except the member who would have asked the original question. I hope that clarifies the matter. We'll then move to Member Mfikwe.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Good morning to everybody, honourable members and our guests. Deputy Chair of Chairs, maybe to allow a bit of time, I would appreciate that the health question that I was asking, that the MEC can send it to us in writing, so you can scratch me off from the list there. For the MEC for Economic Development, regarding the commitment of the government to township economic development, can the MEC respond to the following questions? Number 1, what economic development strategies is the government using to strengthen township economic development? Number 2, how many township businesses have benefited in government economic development interventions in our townships? 3, what systems has government put in place to ensure that informal traders and micro enterprises have access to funding? And the last question, what tangible actions has the province taken to reduce red tape for township businesses, such as streamlining licensing for spazzas and taxi operators? Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs.
MEC Maile, you may respond to the question.
Thank you very much, Honourable Deputy Chair of Chairs. The answer to question 1 is that the Gauteng Department of Economic Development is implementing various interventions, and amongst others is the High Impact Partnership Delivery Model Project, which was started in the last financial year. The project supports initiatives that drive economic development and job creation in the province. This initiative is targeting a number of economic sectors and is implemented across the province. The program is intended to strengthen the township economy through developing sectoral production capacity, improving skills, access to technology and infrastructure, which are required as inputs. It leverages private sector capabilities to mobilize resources and build the capacity of the MSMEs. This intervention is targeting the chemical, automotive, installation, repair and maintenance, agro-processing, global business services, retail, mining, ICT and finance sectors. Additional sectors will be included as the program grows, and these are clothing, textile, leather and footwear, capital equipment and machinery, climate finance, construction, aerospace, drones, alternative energy, broadband, e-commerce, cultural and creative industry, as well as tourism and hospitality. On question 2, the high impact delivery model has supported a total of 244 medium, small and micro enterprises, and this number is growing on a monthly basis since the project is still gaining momentum. And as I've said, there are several intervention programs, which includes procuring from township-based enterprises, and that information is kept by our treasury. On question 3, the department is engaging the Gauteng Enterprise Propeller and other development finance institutions and the national sphere of government to establish a funding project that will target informal traders and micro enterprises. And these engagements will be concluded at the end of quarter 2. On question 4, the department, in conjunction with the Department of Small Businesses and Office of the Premier, has initiated a red tape reduction project of tracking all issues that are considered red tape in public procurement and financial and non-financial support in the province. And these issues will be presented at various forums like the SCM, CFOs, and HOD's forum for interventions. And assessments were made with municipalities before TIDA implementation. However, little progress has been registered, and I think the honourable member will also acknowledge that some of the licenses like spaza shop registrations and all that are done at the municipal level, and there are those that we do, and as I've said, the measures I have indicated are meant to intervene in that area. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Member Maile. Member Mfikwe, do you have supplementary question or remark?
No, thanks, Chair. We're happy with the responses of the MEC and they're highly appreciated. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Is Member Mokhobe online?
Yes, Chair, I'm here online.
Yeah, you can ask your question. Thank you.
Thank you so much. This question is to the member of the Executive Council for Cooperative Governance and Traditional Affairs. MEC, cities and secondary cities are widely acknowledged as part of the existing key drivers for economic growth and development. They are known as areas of high economic concentration, cultural diversity, learning and innovation, and creativity, of course. MEC, can you kindly explain on the following? What strategies does Gauteng COGTA employ to ensure equitable growth and development with cities? What are the primary obstacles that continue to inhibit secondary cities within the province of Gauteng from experiencing significant economic expansion of a swift rate, as is this the case with cities falling under the category? And what mechanisms, MEC, are in place to ensure that the youth is not excluded from Gauteng's broader and inclusive socio-economic growth trajectory? Thank you.
Member Mamabolo, MEC.
Yeah, thank you very much, Honorable Chair. Let me greet the Premier, the entire leadership that is here in the House, and dedicate this to the youth of 1976, and of course, those who departed, may their soul continue to rest in eternal peace. Now, Chair, the question that has been asked is a very important question. I'm just worried that in the light of time pressures, I'm not sure how far to go, but this is a very profound, important, and strategic question. And I want to acknowledge it as such. Now, the very first point to make is that is to agree that cities and secondary cities, as indicated in the question, continue to be key drivers for growth, for development, and of course, for transformative, high quality of life for the people. And there remain areas of high cultural diversity, learning, innovation, creativity, and of course, growth. And those points are affirmed. They are correct, Honourable Member. Now, let me also indicate that for us in the province, the Honourable Member will be aware that we're talking about building Gauteng as an integrated smart city region constituted of various smart cities. The COCTA at National has adopted a policy of building smart cities. The President of the Republic of South Africa, His Excellency Cyril Ramaphosa, has also quite eloquently and correctly on various occasions made reference to building smart cities. And therefore, I would like to say to the Honourable Member that in line with this pronouncement by leaders of government and institutions, that perhaps we merge cities and secondary cities and talk about building smart cities. And to this extent, we have, since the Premier decided to bring together DID, COCTA and GIFA, under one executive authority, we have decided to adopt a provincial document, our perspective, which we call Building Smart Cities in our province. And we can share with the Honourable Member, we will definitely share with the member the document which we will be presenting to the COCTA Portfolio Committee and to the DID Portfolio Committee, with DID scheduled for this Friday. And we hope members of the DID Portfolio Committee will attend, where we're going to table this very important document about building smart cities, and will due to COCTA when they come back from the trip. Now, let me go to immediately the point about what are the strategies for building economy in the smart cities. The very first one is to implement and roll out the interventions that Premier Panyaza Lesufi referred to in the State of the Province Address, otherwise known as the 13 Gauteng problems, or G13. Number two, we seek to grow smart cities by delivering infrastructure efficiently and effectively. And in this regard, we believe to uninterrupted water supply, energy, electricity, but also, of course, working with rent water, city power, ESCOM, and all our municipalities. The other issue is we also have repositioned GIFA to be an entity leading and championing bulk infrastructure supply. And I'm very much pleased to announce that GIFA has already signed an MOU with Infrastructure South Africa in Cape Town in the last 2 weeks. The other important intervention is that we seek to implement and drive the revitalization of CBDs across the province, and this is exactly in line with the concept of building Gauteng as a smart city region. We seek to support And of course, strengthen the special economic zones, especially those that have been announced by the Department of Economic Development, working with our municipalities. The other important intervention, of course, is that we are, through collaboration and integration with all our municipalities, to fight crime through integrated law enforcement operations so that the smart city can be safe and ensure that people indeed do feel safe. We also have mandated GIFA to place our immovable assets in private partnership with in partnership with the private sector to make sure that these assets are placed strategically in the market for partnerships to grow the economy. Now, there are many other interventions, but I just thought let me limit it to these ones. With respect to the second question, what are the limitations and constraints on building smart cities? The main one, there are multiple factors, but the big problem here is most of our municipalities, including, by the way, the province itself, have got challenges relating to budgets. Most of our municipalities, except metros, do not have strong balance sheets to finance critical infrastructure for economic growth and development. And ideally, honorable members, it would have been good to make these municipalities, some of them, to be metros, so that they could have a strong, viable financial base to finance infrastructure developments. We believe that just financing key infrastructure from the equitable share, from grants, and from money collected from residents, rates and tax collection, electricity, water, that will not be enough to finance strategic infrastructure critical to grow the economy. In this regard, we are giving an example of Mfuleni. Mfuleni sits with the primary infrastructure to drive the entire economy of the province. You can imagine water primary sources are sitting in Mfuleni. And Mfuleni needs a strong balance sheet to keep those assets, but also to make sure that it can support Rent Water's primary pumping station of water. You have got Sasol, you have got ArcelorMittal, you have got industries there, you have got Letabong power station. So the critical assets for supporting the Gauteng economy sits in Mfuleni. But if you just use equitable share, equitable share and of course collections from the people, you will not be able to finance and carry the capacity that sits in that, and also make sure that you can blend it into much more powerful economic growth. So I'd like to say to the member that if we just use Mfuleni alone, you can see that you need a stronger balance sheet to even take advantage of the capacity for economic growth that sits in the Vaal River system, including the Vaal Dam itself. So if you look at the Western municipalities, the same thing. There's capacity to build a new economy using renewables in the strong sun capacity that sits in the West Rand, especially Carltonville and broadly Mirafong. You need a good balance sheet to roll out renewable and smart energy solutions to power the economy in that part of the province. So all these things, honorable members, require strong financial muscles. With respect to how do we ensure that we integrate youth and create jobs, I'll be very brief on this one because the province has a innovative, very creative, one of its own kind program for the youth called Nasi Spani. So this program seeks precisely to target the youth, permanent employment, temporary employment, but also the skills revolution. So in this case, we seek to ensure that the youth benefit from our efforts to grow the economy. Lastly, honorable members, we believe that placing technology, the fourth industrial revolution, digital platforms, and of course, even migrating services in our cities to digital transport, digital systems such as transport systems will actually go a long way to ensure that Gauteng remain a smart city region that is integrated, that can compete with the best in the world, create jobs, grow the economy, and fight all the dimensions of poverty. Thank you very much for your kindness on time. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Member Mokgobe, do you have a supplementary question or short remark?
Oh, thank you so much. I think we accept the responses by the MEC and we wish him well in implementing some of the strategies, but also thank the MEC for, of course, putting plans in place for the youth, because the youth of this province, Bayakala Waspani, and we wish him well in implementing the strategies. Thank you.
Thank you, Member Mokgobe. Member Mekwe, can ask your question. You read your question.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Given the critical role that gender-based violence shelters play in providing immediate safety, emotional support, and empowerment to survivors of GBV, can the MEC provide an update on the following? What is the current capacity of GBV shelters in Gauteng, and are there any plans in place to ensure that these shelters are accessible to all survivors, including marginalized groups such as men and children who may face additional barriers to entry? How is the Department of Social Development collaborating with non-governmental organizations and community-based organizations to improve the services and outreach of GBV shelters, particularly in rural and underserviced areas? What initiatives or programs are in place to ensure that survivors are supported beyond their stay in shelters, particularly in terms of legal assistance, skills development, and long-term reintegration into society? And how does the department track the effectiveness of these programs?
MEC Mazibuko.
Sibonge somlomo osaphethe kwesikhashana. Sibonge umbuzo vela kwilunga esizalwa naye charters eNigeria. Abanye abayazi charters ama 2000 baze alapha. In responding to question number 1 on the current capacity of GBV shelters in Gauteng, our response is as follows. To ensure accessibility of all survivors, the department has registered and funded shelters across the 5 corridors in Gauteng, targeting both male and female adult victims that are also accompanied by their children. There are 16 shelters for women and 1 shelter for men in Gauteng. And before victims are placed in shelters, an assessment is conducted to ensure the placement aligns with the appropriate target group. Referrals to shelters may come from service providers, including, but not limited to, the South African Police Service, the Department of Health, the Department of Social Development, NPOs, FPOs, and others. If a child is the primary victim, they are placed in child and youth care centers rather than into a GBV shelter. And how is the department, in responding to the second question on how is the department collaborating with NPOs, the Department of Social Development is the leader with regards to the NSP Pillar 2, which focuses on prevention and building social cohesion, and also on Pillar 4, which is response, care, support, and healing of the National Strategic Plan that was adopted for 2020 to 2030. Through the implementation of Pillar 2, the department has partnered not only with NPOs and CBOs, but also with various government departments, traditional leaders, and also even traditional healers, local radio stations, to serve rural and underserviced areas across Gauteng and raise awareness about GBV. Under this pillar also, the shelter program is promoted without disclosing the shelter address, so that due to high risk, that a victim is also not followed into that shelter. The GBV Command Center is also a toll-free number. 0800 428 428 is also promoted in these areas to ensure that the victims' locations can be tracked via phone calls and that they are placed in registered cares. The department also conducts monitoring and evaluation and provides training and capacity building to shelter staff to ensure that service delivery is effective and efficient. In responding to question 3 on what initiatives or programs are in place to ensure that the survivors are supported, the initiatives that are in place to ensure that survivors are supported beyond their stay in shelters is that counseling services is also provided by both funded NPOs and also through government services. Victims and survivors are also linked to sustainable livelihood programs run by funded NPOs across the 5 corridors, enabling them to also acquire skills. They are also referred to legal support such as pro bono at vets, a law clinic and UJ law clinic, and lawyers against abuse for legal advice, particularly for those who cannot afford the legal fees. In most of the time, they can't afford legal fees, but they are referred to the law clinics. Some members of the boards of management are qualified in various fields and voluntarily offer their professional services to survivors. Some of the funded NPOs also provide aftercare services to monitor and support the reintegration of the survivors into their communities. In responding to question number 4, how does the department track the effectiveness of this program? The department it tracks through the following methods. By monitoring visits, these include development quality assurance, the case audits and on-site visits, data collection and analysis through monthly statistics that are compiled using the technical indicator description to track the implementation and reach of the programs amongst the beneficiaries. Collaboration and coordination working with various stakeholders also helps identify gaps and challenges that negatively impact the program. The insights gained from, inform the development of mitigation plans. The NSP 2030 to 2020-2030 also outlines priorities, the interventions and monitoring mechanisms, and in each quarter, the department submits a consolidated report to the Department of Community Safety addressing all matters related to the DSD mandate. Policy reviews also are done. The department is also mandated to also review and develop some of these policies and ensure that there is accountability and continuous improvement.
Is there any supplementary question or short remark?
It's just my comment, Deputy Chair. I think what the MEC has responded on, it is a true reflection of what I received when I visited a green door, which is situated at Madonsela Street, which was opened by the MEC Mazibugo when she was still the community safety. However, that green door still needs to be improved. I think you're working with community safety. Can we ensure that those green doors are upgraded to a better facility, as they do tremendous work and they are, in the true sense, assisting the Department of Social Development to be able to do the work that they are supposed to be doing? Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yes, member. Sorry.
Thank you very much, Chair. I want to know if I can ask a supplementary question based on Rule 1347.
I did mention in the beginning that no, that we are not going to deal with supplementary questions due to time.
Point of order.
Yes, member.
Mr. Deputy Chair of Chairs, we had a very productive workshop some weeks ago in terms of addressing the rules. The fact is that it was indicated that there was the element of discretion. There was also indicated the element of discretion, if you permit me, in terms of the member statements, which a discretion has been used. We've applied our thinking that we had at the workshop to the member statements.
Yeah, Member
in
Moriarty.
the same workshop, we said 3 hours should be provided. Now, Mr. Deputy Chair of Chairs, I'm going to ask for your ruling to be submitted to the Rules Committee.
Thank you.
On the basis that a discretion should be fairly and reasonably applied, not purely for the sole political reason to protect political principles in the executive, which is all that you are doing.
Member Moriarty, thank you very much. May you please sit down.
Member Moriarty, 3 hours for this particular sitting. To restrict it to 1 hour, all that you are doing is saying to the taxpayers, you know what,
Member
we like the money
may you please sit down.
but we're only prepared to work
Member
1 hour
Moriarty,
a day.
please sit down.
We've got all day. We've got even in the evening.
Member Moriarty, please sit down.
We are here at the public's expense. we should be able to deal
Chair.
with public
Member
matters
Moriarty, please sit
at their
down.
behalf fully. In
Thank
the democratic and constitutional order that we are,
Member Mekwe,
I
order.
ask that your ruling be referred
Chair,
to the
I'm
Rules
rising
Committee
on
once more.
point 88, which I want to call to the presiding officer to observe Rule 83, which decides that a member may speak if that person is called by the presiding officer. I've observed Honorable Moriarty just stand up and speaks. And if really he needs the presiding officer to observe and respect the rules, it must start with him. Please, Chair. Thank you.
Thank you. Member Moriarty, you are speaking on rules that are still subject for a discussion and approval in this House. Rules as they stand now, they allow for 60 minutes for oral questions. Until we have changed the rules, we'll apply the rules as they stand for now. I'm going to ask member, okay, in the absence of member Shiniman, can you please step up because member Mhlongo is out. Yeah, you can ask your question.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Considering the question that I'm rising to ask to the MEC for Human Settlements is as follows. Considering the Department's intention to enhance housing delivery through public-private partnerships, can the MEC provide an update on the following? 1. How many active public PPP projects are currently underway in the province? And what is their projected contribution to housing delivery over the next 3 years? 2. What criteria and processes does the Department use to identify and select private sector partners for these housing-related PPPs, particularly to ensure alignment with transformation and empowerment objectives? And 3. What are the key risks the Department has identified in the implementation of PPPs for human settlements, and what measures have been put in place to mitigate against these risks, particularly in terms of project delays, cost overruns, or private sector underperformance? Thank you.
Member MEC Mutara.
Thanks so much, Deputy Chair of Chairs, and thank you for the question, Member Schneemann. PPPs must follow a predetermined process from National Treasury. As such, we do not have any public-private partnership projects registered by the Gauteng Department of Human Settlements. That's in response to the first part of your question. In response to the second part of your question, we are looking at not pure PPPs, but projects like mega projects that lend itself to principles of PPP processes. And the response to the third part of the question is that the biggest risk is that getting an approved PPP from National Treasury does take a very long process. Hence, we are looking at expanding the mega projects, which uses the principles of PPP without having necessarily go through the registration of a PPP project. Those projects will follow the normal procurement processes as outlined by the PFMA. Thank you.
Do you have a supplementary remark? We are fine. Thank you very much. Member Mhlongo, you may ask your question.
Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs. In line with the African National Congress's commitment to building an inclusive, contextual, relevant, and transformative education system, the transformation and decolonization of the basic education curriculum remains a critical priority in preparing learners for the demands of the 21st century, while grounding them in African values, heritage, and identity. The current curriculum must reflect the lived experiences of our communities, promote African knowledge systems, and equip learners with the skills and competencies required for a rapid changing world. As such, can the MEC provide information on the following? How is the department integrating indigenous knowledge systems, African languages, and local histories into the curriculum at the primary and secondary school levels? What training and support is being provided to teachers to effectively deliver a transformed and decolonized curriculum that prepares learners for the realities of both their communities and the global environment? And finally, has the department engaged with parents, communities, and education stakeholders in the development or review of curriculum content to ensure that it is contextually relevant and inclusive? Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs.
Is Member Matume online?
Yes, Deputy Chair of Chairs.
Yeah, you can answer the question.
Thank you. Thank you once more, Member Mhlongo. With regard to the first question, in terms of Section 6A of the South African Schools Act 1996, Act number 84 of 1996, the Minister of Basic Education is responsible for determining the curriculum nationally. The Department of Basic Education intends to integrate indigenous knowledge systems, African languages, local histories into the curriculum through various strategies, including the National Curriculum Statement and Curriculum and the Assessment Policy Statements, and initiatives for multilingual education. The goal is to create a more inclusive and culturally relevant learning environment that recognizes and values the diverse knowledge systems and experiences of South African learners. GDE aligns curriculum transformation with DBE national priorities on decolonization and relevance through the curriculum caps for various subjects like social sciences, natural sciences, and technology, languages, and life skills orientation. These subjects now incorporate elements of African spirituality, rites of passage, community roles, and Ubuntu values, fostering pride in identity and cultural understanding. The incremental introduction of African languages has been rolled out to increase African languages access in primary school. The DBE, through its transformation program branch, has put together a mother tongue-based bilingual education program to transform the landscape of education from the general education and trainings to further education and training bands. MTBE is an equalizer for all children in the system. It is not a focus on one language. It's not a focus on one language, and it is an intentional focus on using language resources that children bring from home to school as a basis to learn while learning other languages. Schools participate in Heritage Month, Africa Day, and district-led cultural projects to embed indigenous narratives and localized identities. These are also extended into art subjects and life orientation. Integration of local history and African heritage content into social sciences, history, life skills, and life orientation is actively supported at schools during the teaching the subject content. GDE supports the inclusion of African proverbs, oral tradition, indigenous environmental knowledge within the life skills and natural sciences and African languages. It must be noted that in primary school, history is part of social sciences. During the 5th administration, the Minister of Basic Education appointed a ministerial task team to review history curriculum, then develop a new history curriculum from grades 4 up to 12. The task team finalized their work and made recommendations to the minister. The draft revised history curriculum has been developed and will be consulted at various levels until approval. The draft curriculum framework includes historiography, archaeology, archives, African history, heritage, and local history, labor history, language and gender and culture history. With regard to the second question, the training of teachers in African languages has become a priority in the Gauteng province. African language educators are trained under IIAL strategy with dedicated LTSM support and instructional guidance. The 2025-26 training plans are in place for the training of teachers offering isiZulu, Sepedi, Sesotho, Setswana, Xhosa, Tsonga, and Tsivenda. The training will focus on pedagogy, assessment, and reading for meaning in the 2025-2026 financial year. The new history curriculum will require the professional development of existing history teachers and recalculation of teacher education. In-service training includes guidance and localizing content, embedding cultural relevance across subjects. Teachers also receive support via professional learning communities to share inclusive teaching practices. These are being cultivated at school and district level to allow teachers to share best practices and in contextually response and inclusive teaching, especially in diverse multilingual and multicultural classrooms. With regard to the third question, since the development of curriculum is a national competence, the National Department of Education coordinates consultation sessions with various stakeholders. Any review of the will be published for public comments. Thank you.
Is there any remark?
Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chair. Yes, I do have. Really, Deputy Chair of Chairs, I think what's important to state is that it is important for us to have our indigenous knowledge systems imparted in our education system, especially at a basic level education. And I think importantly, it's important to note that in the Bella Act, there is a clause that speaks to the language policy in our schools, in particular our former Model C schools, and the introduction of African languages so that we do not lose our African values and heritage as Africans. Thank you very much.
Member Chairperson, Deputy Chair, I rise on Rule 1347 to ask a supplementary question, please.
We have 16 minutes left. Due to time, I don't give you the right to speak on the sub-question. I'm using my discretion because of time. Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
Point of order.
What's the point of order?
I would like your ruling to be referred to the Rules Committee, please.
That's not the point of order, Member Moriarty. There's no breach of order. You are abusing the point of order. Thank you very much. The point of order is raised only when there's a breach of order. That is not a breach of order. Member Nsike, I hope I call your surname correctly.
Deputy Chair and Chairs is Member Ntseche.
Ntseche, yeah, thank you very much for correcting me. Ntseche.
Thank you. During the sitting of the 13th of May 2025, when answering 4.SD003, MEC indicated that there is insufficient budget to pay staff leading to the high vacancy in the department. When asked how the Nasisbani brigades were funded, the MEC indicated that there were no funds for this program, which ended March 2025, but had to source funding, 48 million, to honor the contractual obligation. Could the MEC please indicate where did the department fund the 48 million to pay for this contractual obligation? Were there budget cuts on other departmental programs? If yes, which programs? How much was cut on each of these programs? And what work did the team do whilst they were employed during the time that they were contracted? Thank you.
MEC Mazibuko.
Mangibonge Somlo. Mangimuzwa kahle ilunga. Uphambanisa into ezimbili ezingafani. Uhlanganisa amagilebhisi namahabhula. Azifani lento lezi. Okokuqala, abantu okuyibona abaphelelwe ngumsebenzi ama-ACDP, Assistant Community Development Practitioners. Yibo ama-contractor abaphelile nge-31 zakamanje. Abo sawubona namhlanje basasebenza. Ama-contract wabo aphela ngo-August. Hinga ngithi ilunga malingahlanganisa amagilebhisi namahabhula, azifani into lezi. Okwesibili, ilunga lifuna ukwazi ukuthi imali lena siyithathe kube nalento phecelezi kuthiwa i-adjustment. Ilunga eliphethe ezezimali la kusishaya umthetho uyawanika umnyango imali ukuze iqiniseke ukuthi siyakwazi ukukhokhela labasebenzi ukuze kuphela ama-contract wabo. Kulo lwabi biyo mali manje lolo qale manje ngenyanga ka April sinikiwe futhi imali ukuze sikwazi ubakhokhela. Laba khuluma ngabo yilaba ngempela ba unfunded. Kepha lama category akhuluma ngawo emhlali ngaphambili. Imali yabikhona ngiyabonga.
Member Nsiche, do you have a supplementary question or remark?
Always, Deputy Chairs. I think the question I want to ask is, the MEC says I'm conflating two issues. Fine. But you are still not explaining the 48 million rand, where the money came from, what departmental projects had to be sacrificed in order to fund that 48 million, and what work they were actually doing. You just talked about me conflating issues and the midterm and money that you got, but you didn't answer the questions that I actually asked. Sorry, MEC. Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs.
Okay. We call on member. Do you have you want to respond to that, MEC?
Ngaphambili ilunga libuza ngama brigade lithi ama brigade wona aphelelwe imali. Ngiyamtshela ngithi ubuza ngabantu abarong uqonde ama ECDP akabhale kahle umbuzo abuze ngama ECDP ngizomphendula ngiyabonga.
Noted, MEC. Member Waters.
Thank you, Chair. Deputy Chair. With regard to reply to question 54, could the MEC please indicate one, where the MEC stated that the City of Ekurhuleni has failed to pay service providers within the 30-day period to the value of 2.6 billion, what action has he taken to ensure that service providers are paid within the 30-day period? 2, what reasons have been given by the CEO for failing to pay service providers within the legislative framework? And 3, what rescue plan has the MEC initiated? Thank you.
MEC Mamabolo.
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me acknowledge the question. The reply to the first part of the question is that indeed we do uphold the principle of the law that service providers be paid within 30 days, and we are deeply concerned, of course, about this issue. However, we also follow the principle of the Constitution that requires organs of the state to support and assist municipalities where they may not be able to perform any of their functions. And to this regard, we have committed ourselves to work with them fully and to improve their revenue collection in order to make sure that they fulfill all their obligations. We're working with the Provincial Treasury in what is called the Debt Management Committee, and this seeks to facilitate the resolution of monies owed to municipalities, especially by government, to ensure that they've got a good financial base to meet their obligations. And of course, through this IGR, we've improved revenue collection of municipalities, both with national and provincial departments, including state-owned entities. Number 2, the main reason that has been given by the municipality in this regard is inadequate cash flows and, of course, low revenue collection. With respect to, and of course, some invoices that may require to be clarified before they have been settled, lead to timeframes not being complied with. As for the rescue plan, I've already indicated 1541 of the Constitution and what it places on us, and that's why we're working with the City of Ekurhuleni. We've already written to, we have already communicated with the Mayor our concerns about this issue, and we'll continue to work with them, but also to monitor their performance on this issue. Thank you.
Supplementary or
Yes, thank you, Deputy Chair. Owing 2.6 billion after 30 days is a crisis. It shows that the city is in financial distress. It's not just a simple process. The MFMA 65(2)E says that the municipality is legally bound to pay all service providers within 30 days, which they have failed to do on on numerous occasions. The MFMA 136 states that you have an obligation as the MEC that once you become aware that there is serious financial problems in a municipality, which the city of Ekurhuleni is currently facing, that you consult the mayor of the municipality to determine the facts which you say you have, assess the seriousness of the situation and the municipality's response to the situation, which is dismal, to say the least, because nothing is improving, MEC, and determine whether the situation justifies or requires intervention in terms of 139 of the Constitution. In your reply to me, MEC, you unpacked monthly income and monthly expenditure. Consistently, the city of Ekurhuleni spends more than what it collects, consistently. It is technically bankrupt, to say the least. It is not a viable institution any longer, and that's got to do with massive contracts being awarded and excessive payments being made that they cannot actually honour. So my point to you is how long are you going to wait until you actually intervene in the city's finances? Thank you.
MEC.
The question is noted. We'll deal with it in the next question because he's continuing with the same matter in the next question. So let's go to the next question. We'll deal with it there.
Thank you, MEC. We now move to Member Waters again.
Yep. Double feature show, Deputy Chair. With regards to Section 136(4) of the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act and Regulations, could the MEC please indicate, does the MEC believe that the non-payment to service providers is a serious financial problem and that Section 136(4) of the Local Government Municipal Finance Management Act and Regulations ought to be invoked? And if not, why not? Thank you, Chair.
MEC Mamabulo.
Yes, exactly the point I was making, that that is actually question 4 in the previous question, but he made it a standalone question. Now, let me indicate, Honourable Member, just as a matter of emphasis, because this is the same matter, I think it is completely incorrect to say, what are we going to do? We have detailed to you, I've explained to you that we are working with the municipalities to attend to the challenges that they have. The issue with you is that you want us to invoke the section in the Constitution placing the municipality under administration. Let me explain to you that the challenges that the city is facing and the work that we are doing with them do not meet the requirements to invoke the section that you are actually not calling for, which is your intention. So to that extent, I just want to say to the honourable members in the House that there's a lot of work that we are doing. We're looking at verification and reconciliation of the accounts, the challenges faced, generally with regard to managing the situation, revenue collection, debt collection, support to ensure that the rest of government pay, challenges relating to the entire value chain of invoicing, of revenue collection, and our teams are working with the municipality to make sure that we comply fully with the provisions of the Municipal Finance Management Act and, of course, those of the Constitution. We are supporting the municipality and we're making an assessment and we'll strengthen our interventions depending on the facts at hand. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Yeah, thank you, Deputy Chair. Given the MEC's obligation under the Constitution and the MFMA Act, what took him so long to actually take any steps to assist the city of Ekurhuleni in its dire financial situation? Thank you.
MEC.
I think that question is both premature and necessary. That's all I can say. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. We are going to take the last question. We are left with 2 minutes, so I'm going to give Member du Plessis to ask the last question.
Point of order.
What's the point of order, Member Muriati?
Mr. Chair of Chairs.
On what rule? Please state the rule that there's a breach of order.
Rule 90. Mr. Chair of Chairs.
Okay, continue. Let's hear the order.
Thank you very much. I'm being engaged by yourself and obviously by your predecessor in the chair, the Deputy Speaker, in respect of the discretion that is being used, and you use unfettered discretion, no reasonableness at all, no rationality in terms of that other than, well, we don't have enough time. We've regularly gone over time. We are paid at least an 8-hour day. I don't know about you, but I put in an awful lot of unpaid overtime, and that's fine. I'm a public servant like yourself. There is no rational reason why we can't continue before the hour, and as a matter of personal explanation, I'm explaining why I'm standing up in order to address you on these things. Thank you very much.
Member Muriat, you must not abuse the rules.
Honourable Chair.
Rule 90
Chair.
is a personal matter.
Honourable
It's nothing
Chair.
It's nothing to do with what you spoke about. But we note so that the order is the point of order is rejected on that basis that
Chair,
you.
thank you.
Okay.
Chair,
What rule? Who's the member online? Who's raising on a point of order?
It's
member who?
Mhlagaza.
Sorry.
Yeah, the
member.
The preceding. It's Member Mhlagaza, Manamel.
Oh, member. Okay, Deputy Speaker.
Just wanted to indicate, Chair, that discretion, the way it's written, it must not be that when it doesn't favor members, it's seen or heard as irrational just because it doesn't suit the ego of Member Muriati. And I'm rising on 138 and 8 and 9. That discretion is exactly that. So let's not bully each other and use privilege and a privilege of whiteness to then think people are not thinking rationally. Special President, yes, that was my order. Come with the order. It's discretion, just like you're using your discretion. Just what I should say that. Using the same Rule 19 of point of order.
Point of order, Chairperson.
Just what I should say that, Chair, but thanks for your ruling. I think on getting Member Muriati to know that the abuse of presiding officers that he continues to use is a problem.
Chairperson, point of order.
Yeah, I hardly heard you, Deputy Speaker, but it's fine. I guess other members heard you.
Well,
I will give to Member du Plessis. Sorry?
Chair, order.
There's a point of order from member who?
Yeah.
Msimang. Yeah, okay, let's listen to you.
Two things. First of all, you are the presiding officer. You will not be dictated by another member who is sitting somewhere in terms of how you must interpret the rules. You interpret the rules, and then after that, you make a ruling. So that's Mhlagazi cannot come and dictate to you what are the rules. That's the first thing. The second thing, she makes a very racial statement to then say that people want to use whiteness, in terms of dictating to you. I think that statement is very wrong and should be withdrawn now. That is a statement that is recorded, and if she cannot dispute that she said it, it must be a statement that must be withdrawn now.
I will have to ask Hansat. I will take this order on. I can hear. I could hardly hear. I did not hear him, so on that role, the order that he has asked for will make a ruling in the next meeting when I have listened to it on Hansard. As the time is already finished and I already indicated that Member Du Plessis will speak, I will give Member Du Plessis to speak, to ask the question, to read the question, even though the time is up, because I'd already mentioned that Member Du Plessis is going to speak. You may ask your question on injury time.
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. To the MEC of Roads and Transport, with regards to Tombbo Springs development, could the MEC please state what is the current status of the proposed Tombbo Springs development? Are there any environmental issues regarding this development? Are there any infrastructure issues regarding this development? What is the budget that has been allocated to this development? And who is the developer for this development? Thank you.
MEC Dialet Labella, is she online?
Yes, Deputy Chair, I'm here.
Okay, please respond.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of Chairs, and to honourable members, good morning. Honourable Du Plessis, the Tombbo Springs development does not fall within the jurisdiction of the Department of Roads and Transport. Therefore, your question 2, question 3, and question 4 falls off on that basis. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I've asked for earphones because I'm really struggling to hear, but I will allow. Are you done, Member?
Am I audible? Am I audible, Deputy Chair of Chairs?
Yes, you're audible. It's just me not hearing you properly, but you're audible.
Yes, my response is that development does not fall within the jurisdiction of Department of Roads and Transport, and therefore question 2, 3, 4 will then fall off. Thank you.
Member Du Plessis, do you have a supplementary question or remark?
Thank you, Deputy Speaker. No supplementary. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We have exhausted the time that has been provided. And until then that we have amended the rules, we will then take the extra time. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, we'll move on to May the Secretary please read the first order.
Consideration of the principle of the Petitions Standing Committee's Oversight Report on the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill G002/2024.
Member Gentile, you may present the committee's report on Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill.
Thank you so much, Slalo. The honourable members that are in the House, the residents of Gauteng. On introduction, the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill is a bill introduced at the Gauteng Provincial Legislature in terms of Section 119 of the Constitution, read together with the Rule 196, Sub-Rule 1 of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature Standing Rules. The Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill 2024 seeks to amend the Gauteng Petitions Act of 2002 by updating and adding specific definitions. It aims to grant individuals the right to submit petitions to the Gauteng Provincial Legislature and to outline the standards and guidelines that municipalities must adhere to ensure that the petitions policies are in line with the updated Gauteng Petitions Bill. This initiative encourages Gauteng residents to exhaust all available remedies before bringing issues to the legislature. This bill was formally referred to the Petition Standing Committee on the 10th of May 2024 for processing and reporting. The committee facilitated the assessment process of the bill through public engagements. This report thus provides a summary of the committee's assessments and opinions of the bill. On process followed, during the 6th legislative term, the Petition Standing Committee identified shortcomings in the existing legal structure that regulates the management of submitted petitions, and as a result, they proposed amendments to the legislation to address these deficiencies. The legal opinion, socio-economic impact, and research analysis were provided on the bill. The bill was presented on the committee on the 21st of October in 2021 for proposed amendments. The committee discussed the amendments and provided their feedback. The committee considered the schedule of amendments on the bill on the 30th of February 2024 and the 29th of August 2024, respectively. In compliance with the standing rules of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature, the bill was published and gazetted on the 26th of April in 2024 for general information and inviting public inputs. The committee issued out several notices on different platforms calling upon public to make inputs on the bill. A call for written submissions on the bill was made on various media platforms, including newspapers and social media. On stakeholder engagements, as required by the Constitution and the standing rules, the committee conducted public hearings to solicit inputs and submissions on the proposed amendment bill. The committee convened a hearing for targeted stakeholders, which comprised the representatives, including the Public Service Commissioner, the Public Protector, SALGA, local government, and the MEC of COCTA. Public hearings were carried out in 5 regions across the province. Throughout these hearings, the committee gathered both the written and the contribution from written and oral contribution from various participants. The public hearings were as follows, and we're indicating the dates. On the 9th of May in 2024 was a hearing with the targeted stakeholders, including the SALGA Public Protector, which we are noting above. On the 24th of October, it was the City of Johannesburg. On the 31st of October in 2024, it was the Citibeng region. On the 13th of November 2024, it was the Ekurhuleni region. On the 15th of November 2024, it was Western region. The 22nd of November 2024, it was the Swane region. On the 30th of May 2025, the committee conducted a workshop that included the chairpersons of Section 79 Petitions Committee in municipalities and a legal expert to provide guidance on the constitutionality and interpretation of the amendment bill. Following the public hearings, the assessment of the submissions and workshop conducted by the legal expert, the committee considered all feedback in finalizing its report. The committee supports the petitions amendment bill. On committee position, the committee resolution reached by the committee on the proposed bill, there were no dissenting views concerning the suggested amendment bill. Amendments to the bill. The committee supported the bill. Just to note, Chair, that individually all members of the committee from different parties would have taken a position in relation to, and there were no dissenting views in relation to these amendments. The constitutionality of the bill in amending the Gauteng Petitions Act 2002, the bill gives further effect to Section 17 and 115 subsection D of the Constitution, which guarantees the right to present petitions and falls within the legislative competencies of the legislature as set out in the Constitution. On social-economic impact, the petition is a key feature in accountability in the ecosystem, and it's crucial in affording those that have fallen through the cracks of the service delivery a platform to regain their rights. Clause 12 of the amendment bill, which deals with the amendment of how the executive is accountable to the Petition Standing Committee, will ensure greater impetus and procedural justice. When the people of Gauteng can see the various measures and interventions that the Petition Standing Committee has taken through the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill, the outcome of their petitions should be secondary. but they should have faith in that the legislature exercised all provisions of the amendment bill to ensure a responding authority investigates and reports on referred petitions. Moreover, clause 5 of the amendments will ensure that all executives improve their customer care centres as remedial and recourse measures. Moreover, the municipal Section 79 committees on petitions play a role and exercise their constitutional mandate. An effective and functional government leads to improving the lives of all its people, and the bill seeks to ensure that the provincial executive and municipal councils execute their roles and improve service delivery. On financial implication, there are no financial implications on the implementation of the bill. And on acknowledgements on behalf of the committee, Chair, I wish to extend my gratitude to all stakeholders and the people and residents of Gauteng who participated during the processing and consideration through the written and the oral inputs. I further acknowledge and express my gratitude to the following members of the committee for their cooperation and diligence in the assessment of this bill. Member Tulani Ndlovu, Member Greg Schneiman, Member Buitumelo Litswalo, Member Muiponi Mhlongo, Member Kingsley Shabalala, Member J. Miller, Member Maluka, Member Tsepo Sitika, Member Emma Moore, Member Ali, Ayanda Ali, Member Tabangani, Member Buitumelo Mahane, and Member Diach. Many appreciation is extended to the following support staff of the legislature: the proceedings manager, Mr. Ralph Shulane, senior procedural advisor, Advocate Gaubaka Sikonkile, group committee coordinator, Ms. Monica Vaz, committee coordinator, Ms. Sizake Lesbanyoni, committee administrator, Ms. Nombulelo Mfuku, committee researcher, Dr. Simpiwe Ngwane, petitions officer, Mr. Mbulayeni Likade, and Mr. Sinoto Tian. The petitions administrator, Jablisile Shabalala, Ms. Musamak, the legal advisor, Ms. Musima Kekane, senior information officer, Mr. El Nume, senior communications officer, Ms. Tapsile Nzuke, public participation officer, Ms. Lerato Botman, Hansard recorder, Mr. K. Kulu, and the service officer, Mr. I. Pakati. On adoption, Chairperson and honourable members in the House, after due deliberations, the committee unanimously adopted the report as indicated on the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill of 2024 in accordance to Rule 167 of the Standing Rules of the Gauteng Legislature, read together with Rule 168. The committee tables the report for adoption by the House. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you. Yeah, you can clap. Member Jetile, I understand that you would prefer to consider the orders collectively, the clauses collectively. Is that the case?
Yes, it is the case, Chair, but I thought there would be a seconder in relation to the report.
Oh, okay. I jump to the third order. All right. Is there a seconder to the
yes,
member Shineman?
Thank you very much. I rise to second the adoption of the report. Thank you.
Okay. And now put the question. All those in favor say yes?
Yes.
All those not in favor say no?
Yes.
The yes have it. The report is adopted. Will the Secretary please read the second order?
Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Consideration of the detail of each clause of the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill G002-2024.
Member Gentile, please present the principles of the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill.
Thank you so much, Chair. I'm not sure if we are still following the order of the speaking notes here. On the principles of the bill seeks to regulate the submission and the consideration of the petitions in terms of the Gauteng Petitions Act, which is the Principal Act of 2002. The bill proposes the following amendments to the Petitions Act of 2002, and they are the following: to provide a clear objective of each clause, to provide for a clause acknowledging the assignment and the role of the Petitions Committee, to require petitioners to exhaust internal remedies before submitting petitions to the legislature and prove that there was an effort thereof, to allow responsible authorities more time to respond back to the committee, but also to provide, at their request, the executive or responsible municipalities an extension of time in which they must then report back to the committee, to strengthen the accountability of the committee and the responsiveness of the executive in respect to the petitions, and lastly, to correct certain definitions and insert new definitions for purposes of clarity. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you. I now put the question on the principle of the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill G002 or 2020-24. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those not in favor say no.
Yes.
The yes have it. The yes have it. Will the Secretary please read the third order?
Consideration of the detail of each clause of the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill G002 2024.
Member Gentile.
Thank you so much, Chair. I think you had asked me if I want to deal with them collectively, and that is the case, Chair. The details of the bill, after the deliberations with various stakeholders indicated on our report within the province through public hearings and considerations of the various inputs received on the bill, the following clause by clause amendments were made. And these are the contents of the bill. On clause 1, this is the definition clause in which certain existing definitions were corrected and new definitions inserted for purposes of clarity, and was adopted with amendments by the committee. On clause 2, this clause replaces the existing section 2 to provide with a new clause in which the objectives of the Act are set out in clear and succinct term, and was adopted with these amendments by the committee. On clause 3, this clause replaces the existing clause 3 in order to acknowledge the right to present the petition, which was contained in the original section 2, to acknowledge the existence of petitions committee and the function assigned to it by the Speaker to consider petitions submitted to the legislature, and to further regulate the duty of the committee. And this amendment was also adopted by the committee. Clause 4, this clause provides the right to submit a petition, and this particular clause was also amended by adopted by the committee. Clause 5, this clause requires petitioners to exhaust internal remedies and prove, therefore, that there was an effort before submitting petitions to the legislature, and inform the legislature accordingly. And this particular amendment was also adopted by the committee. On clause 6, this clause provides procedures and processes of petitions committee when considering a petition, the referral of the petitions to the relevant MEC or other provincial institutions, or the relevant municipal council, and responsibilities of these institutions. The period allowed for such institutions to deal with the petition referred to them is then extended to 30 days. And it was also, this particular clause was also adopted. This particular amendment in the clause was also adopted by the committee. On clause 7, this clause contains minor consequential amendments, and it was also adopted by the committee. This clause deals with the which is clause 8. Clause 8 deals with the accountability of the committee and the executive to the legislature. And this particular clause and its amendment was also adopted by the committee. Clause 9, this clause improves the wording of section 13 in respect of evidence produced before the committee, and adds the requirements that when petitioners are assisted by a representative of their choice, They do so at their own cost, and it was also adopted by the committee, this particular amendment. Clause 10, this clause provides for a short title of the bill, and it was also adopted, this particular clause and in its amendment was also adopted by the committee. Thank you so much, Chair.
Thank you, Mayor. Member Gentile, will the Secretary please read the fourth order?
Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs. The fourth order is the decision on the detail of each clause of the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill.
I now put the question on the separate clauses in terms of Rule 213, subsection 1. I now put the question on clause 1. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes.
All those against, no.
Yes.
The yes have it. I now put the question on clause 2. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those against, say no. The yes have it. I now put the question on clause 3. All those in favor, say yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those say
Yes.
all those against, say no. The yes have it. And clause 3 is adopted by the House, just like clause 2 and clause 1 were adopted. I now put the question on clause 4. All those in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
All those against say no. The yes have it. Clause 4 is adopted by the House. I now put the question on clause 5. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those
Yes.
against say no. The yes have it. Clause 5 is adopted by the House. I now put the question on clause 6. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All
Yes.
those
Yes.
against say no. The yes have it. Clause 6 is adopted by the House. I now put the question on clause 7. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those against say no. The yes have it. Clause 7 is adopted by the House. I now put the question on clause 8. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those against say no. The yes have it. Clause 8 is adopted by the House. I now put the question on clause 9. All those in favor say yes. All those against say no. The yes have it. Clause 9 is adopted by the House. I now put the question on clause 10. All those in favor say yes. All those against say no. The yes have it. Clause 10 is adopted by the House. Will the Secretary please read the fifth order?
Thank you, Deputy Chair of Chairs. The fifth order is the motion in terms of Rule 117, Sub-Rule 2A, read together with Rule 205 and Rule 215, on the adoption of the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill.
I now call on Member Gentile to move for the adoption of the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill G002 2024.
Enkosi sihlalo namalungu onke akhoyo endlini. I, Member V. Gentile, the Chairperson of the Standing Committee on Petitions, hereby table the following motion in terms of Rule 117, Sub-Rule 2A, read with Rule 205 and Rule 215 of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature Standing Rules, that I request that this House resolves to adopt the Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill of 2024. Diabulela, and I so move.
I now call for a seconder for the motion for adoption of Gauteng Petitions Amendment Bill G002 2024.
Thanks, Deputy Chair of Chairs. I rise to second.
Member Shiniman seconds. I now put the question. All those in favor say yes.
Yes. Yes.
All those not in favor say no. The yes have it. The motion is adopted. Will the Secretary please read the sixth order?
The sixth order is the consideration of the Finance Portfolio Committee Oversight Report on the principle of the Gauteng Provincial Appropriation Bill G004-2025 for the 2025-2026 financial year.
Honorable Musai, kindly present your committee report and move for the adoption of the report.
Thank you very much, Deputy Chair of Chairs. Greetings to all the honorable members, Tombbo Gauteng Province. Section 27.2 of the Public Finance Management Act 1999 enjoins the member of the Executive Council responsible for finances in the province to table the provincial annual budget in the Legislature not later than 2 weeks after the tabling of the national annual budget by the Minister, in line with Section 27.1 of the PFMA, unless an extension is granted. To this end, the Minister tabled the national annual budget for the 2025-26 financial year on Wednesday, the 12th of March 2025. In accordance with the aforesaid, the Gauteng Provincial Appropriation Bill was tabled in the House by the MEC for Finance on Tuesday, the 18th of March 2025. The bill provides for the appropriation of money from the Gauteng Provincial Revenue Fund for the requirements of the Gauteng Province in respect of the financial year ending 31 March 2026 and to provide for related matters. The Deputy Chair of Chairs, I would like to request the House to regard all other matters that I would not have read as having been read, as I see that it was tabled. It was circulated. The tabling of the 2025 MTF is characterized by prolonged weak economic growth, but through structural reforms and the government of national unity, continuous efforts are being employed to respond to socioeconomic challenges and to resolve long-standing economic and fiscal challenges. Despite the economic challenges, the province of Gauteng remains steadfast in implementing what is envisioned in the Growing Gauteng Together 2030 plan. Moreover, the province of Gauteng is also enjoined to implement what is encapsulated in the Statement of Intent, which is the blueprint of the 7th administration, which entails foundational principles and basic minimum program of priorities. To this extent, the priorities of Gauteng provincial government are aligned to the 3 strategic priorities of the national government contained in the Statement of Intent. That is inclusive economic growth and job creation, improved living conditions and enhanced health and well-being, and a capable, ethical and developmental state. Additionally, the Gauteng province government has identified key provincial outcomes and interventions to achieve such outcomes, focusing on addressing the challenges that plague Gauteng residents. Gauteng, being a microcosm of South Africa, is also faced with increased pressure on its fiscal framework due to high debt levels, weak economic growth, and an increase in the public sector wage bill. Therefore, in responding to the challenges, the province has implemented a budget strategy aimed at reducing provincial budget deficit and mitigating the risk to the fiscal framework through robust debt management, revenue maximization, and the advancement of fiscal sustainability. However, the service delivery interventions pronounced during the State of the Province address are cushioned from deeper cuts since the fiscals was supplemented through provincial finances and the implementation of stricter cost containment measures. On the other hand, emerging policy priorities and cost pressures are primarily funded through the reprioritization of budget and trade-offs in policy options. So this report presents estimates of provincial expenditure, transfer payments, capital expenditure allocations, and allocations to conditional grants. From this report, the Portfolio Committee will draw conclusions and recommendations on the 2025 Provincial Appropriation Bill. In terms of the principle of this bill, Deputy Chair of Chairs, the Provincial Appropriation Bill provides for the appropriation of money from the Provincial Revenue Fund for the requirements of the province of Gauteng in respect of the financial year ending 31 March 2026. And also to this end, the total budget allocation for the province is 162.9 billion in the 2025-2026 financial year, which grows steadily to 173.4 billion in the outer year of the 2025 MTF. The process that was followed, Deputy Chair of Chairs, was that the MEC of Finance, Honorable El Maile, introduced the PAB in the Gauteng Provincial Legislature on Tuesday, the 18th of March 2025. Subsequently, the Speaker formally referred the PAB to the Finance Portfolio Committee for consideration and reporting in terms of Rule 220/2 of the Standing Rules of the Gauteng Provincial Legislature for consideration and reporting. On the same day after the tabling of the PAB, the Portfolio Committee received a presentation from the Gauteng Provincial Treasury led by the MEC Maile on the principles of the bill. On Monday, the 24th of March 2025, the Portfolio Committee received the socioeconomic analysis on the bill and the legal opinion, which confirmed that the bill complied with the Constitution of the Republic of South Africa, the Public Finance Management Act, and the Intergovernmental Fiscal Relations. In the same meeting, the committee deliberated and adopted the oversight report of the Provincial Appropriation Bill. Provincial receipts consist of funds from the equitable share and conditional grants. The Gauteng Provincial Government receives transfers amounting to 162.9 billion in the 2025-26 financial year from national government after the adjusting for the net effect of both fiscal consolidation reductions and additions to the baselines. The transfers increased steadily to 166.8 billion in the 2026-27 financial year and 173.3 in the outer year of the MTF. So it should be noted that although the equitable share was adjusted downward due to the impact of data updates on the provincial equitable shares formula and fiscal consolidation, additions have also been made to the PES as part of the continued support provided to the province to respond to pressures emanating from the public sector wage agreement. An average of 1 billion per annum was added to the PES for the improvement of conditions of service. 207.6 million is added for the Teachers Assistance Program in the 2025-26 financial year, which is part of the Presidential Employment Stimulus. The province has therefore projected to collect revenue amounting to 8.3 billion in 2025-2026 financial year, which accounts for 5% of the total budget. The direct charges amounting to 96.2 million are for the remuneration of public office bearers. The Portfolio Committee noted that direct charges are for the remuneration of public office bearers in line with the relevant legislature prescripts. In terms of the capital expenditure framework, the Portfolio Committee noted with appreciation that the allocation is informed by conducting a readiness to spend assessments to promote allocative efficiencies, thus measuring that infrastructure projects are ready to be implemented. So over the MTF period, a total budget of 36.7 billion is allocated to infrastructure program to enable delivery of services to the residents of Gauteng. In terms of the conditional grants, therefore, the total amount allocated for conditional grants in the 2025-26 financial year amounts to 28.9 billion, decreasing to 27.9 in the 2026-27 financial year, before peaking at 29.2 billion in 2027-28 in the outer year. In terms of budget allocation per vote, the following budget appropriations have been allocated to departments for expenditure in the 2025-26 financial year. The total allocation for 2025-26 amounts to 165.812 billion, which grows at an average rate of 3% over the two outer years, thus progressing to 180.5 billion. In terms of the committee recommendation, the Portfolio Committee recommends the following: that the GPT should continue in its endeavor to reduce the provincial budget deficit to stabilize public finances. GPT should ensure that reprioritization do not adversely impact the provision of social services, that it should ascertain that infrastructure projects budget for a shovel ready to circumvent the surrender of monies as earmarked for infrastructure, that it should mitigate the risk to the fiscal framework through robust debt management, revenue maximization, and advancement of fiscal sustainability. In conclusion, noting the 2025 MTF takes place in an economy with prolonged weak economic growth, the Portfolio Committee urges GPG departments to adhere to structural reforms and to embrace the Government of National Unity's efforts to respond to socio-economic challenges. The committee does acknowledge all the MEC and his department officials, and also all the members of the portfolio committee, including the officials that are supporting it. So after due consideration, the Finance Portfolio Committee unanimously adopted the report on the principle of the provincial after due consideration, the Finance Portfolio Committee unanimously adopted a report on the principle of the Provincial Appropriation Bill in terms of Rule 117, 2C read with the Rule 164. The Finance Portfolio Committee presents to the House and recommends the adoption of the committee's oversight report on the Gauteng Provincial Appropriation Bill G001-2025. Thank you, Chair.
Is there a seconder? Member Tlebere?
Yes, I second, Chair.
I now put the question on the principle of Gauteng Provincial Appropriation Bill G004-2025. All those in favor say yes.
Yes.
All those not in favor say no. The yes have it. The principle is adopted. And that brings us to the end of the business of today. The next sitting is on the 24th of June. The House is now adjourned. Thank you very much.